Good afternoon, everyone. Can you hear me okay? Good afternoon. I'm glad to have everyone here. Before we call the meeting to order, we just want to recognize all of the veterans. It is Veterans Day. It's a very, very special day, so we want to thank all of the veterans who have served our country so honorably. We are very fortunate that we actually have some veterans here that are serving on the board. So even though they are no longer in active duty, they still continue to serve, and they still continue to improve the lives of the citizens in the community. So, Ms. Wood, do you mind reading a little bit on the veterans, please? And we also want to recognize these veterans, but also thank the veterans that have served on the board previously. Go ahead.
Thank you, Madam President. First of all, I'd like to recognize Ms. Trustee, Ms. Jeannie DeKine. I'm so sorry. Who served as a United States Army officer and was twice deployed with the 1st Cavalry Division in support of Operation Iraqi Freedom. And also Trustee Leonard Hornsby, who served in the United States Air Force and the United States Air Force Reserves for 23 years. He's a retired Master Sergeant. Thank you both for your service to our country. We are all honored to have you here on the board, and it's an honor to serve with you.
Thank you. Chancellor?
Yes, thank you. I'd also like to extend appreciation and recognition to the faculty, staff, and students who are also veterans. Many of you know we do have very active veteran centers at each of our campuses, as well as in recent years, probably the last 5 years, I believe twice we've been recognized number 2, number 3 in the country as it relates to being veteran friendly. So Tarrant County College certainly does value its veterans and does so through programs and services and does so well. I also like to mention, after the Vietnam War, it was a good 25 or 30 years or so before we had another war. And there are, I know people around this table remember the Vietnam War and remember those vets coming back. And they didn't receive quite the recognition or the appreciation that veterans do today. And so, and there's probably a number of young people that don't realize that. So I think it's important to acknowledge that we did have a number of Vietnam veterans, obviously, and recognize their service and continue to support them in their later years. So thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, we'll now call our meeting to order. This is the November 11th, 2021 work session of the Tarrant County College District Board of Trustees. Mr. Gates, do we have no public comments? Okay, so we'll go ahead and head right into the item number 3, which is the review of board business items. 3A, Board of Draft meetings for October 21st. Does anyone have any questions or comments on that? Okay. 3B, review of draft minutes for October 28, 2021 monthly board meeting. Any questions or comments on those that you've noted? Okay. We'll move on to item 3C, which is the review and discussion of resolution authorizing the casting of Tarrant County College District's allocated votes to candidates for appointment to the Tarrant Appraisal District Board of Directors. Ms. Bracken. Hi there.
Hello.
Hi.
Several pieces of paper. The Tarrant Appraisal District is conducting an election for 5 positions on its board of directors. All of the taxing entities in Tarrant County nominate and then elect those directors. There are a total of 5,005 votes, and Tarrant County College has been allocated 290 votes. You've been provided a copy of the ballot, which shows the 11 candidates that have been nominated, as well as copies of their respective resumes. At the board meeting on December the 18th, you'll be asked to decide how to allocate Tarrant County College's votes. All of the votes can be allocated to one candidate, or they can be divided among several candidates. Historically, a candidate needs around 700 votes to be assured of election to that board, although the number can change based on the number of candidates running. having 11 candidates is a little on the high side, so I'm assuming that this year probably it'll take a little less than 700 to make it onto the board. The 5 candidates who get the most votes are considered the winning candidates. On November the 18th, I will provide you with an interim report on the status of the voting to that point. Voting will be concluded on December the 15th, and the results will be announced prior to December the 31st, and the new board member's term will begin on January 1st. It's a 2-year term. 6 taxing authorities hold 5% or more of the votes for the election, and they are the City of Fort Worth ISD, Arlington ISD, Keller ISD, Tarrant County, and Tarrant County College. All 5 of these entities are scheduled to vote prior to November the 18th, and Tarrant Appraisal District anticipates that some of the smaller entities will have voted by that point as well. I can tell you that as of now, Fort Worth ISD voted last night and gave all 610 of their votes to J.R. Martinez. The City of Fort Worth voted last week and gave all 600 of their votes to Jungus Jordan, and Tarrant County earlier this week gave all of their votes to Catherine Wildman. Arlington ISD votes this evening. If there are any questions? The ones that have, Fort Worth ISD gave all 610 of their votes to J.R. Martinez. The City of Fort Worth gave all 600 of their votes to Jungus Jordan, and Tarrant County gave all of their votes to Catherine Wildman. And Arlington ISD is supposed to vote this evening. Keller ISD is scheduled to vote on the 15th. And several others will have voted between now and then as well. So when we meet again on the 18th, I'll be able to give you a better update on where the vote counts are. If you have any questions, I'd be very pleased to answer them.
Yes, do you have a question?
I do have one question. Can you remember how many votes Tarrant County has and how many were cast for Catherine Wildman?
All of them were vote for Catherine Wildman, and it was 515.
Thank you.
And earlier this week, or perhaps it was at the end of last week, I sent you a copy of the census of those 5,005 votes, and you'll see the vote count for every entity beside it.
Can we vote for someone other than that's on the list or no?
No, it has to be for one of the nominated candidates.
Dr. Did you have a question?
So are these the first votes that have been cast?
Those are the ones that I know about. It's
Okay.
entirely possible that some of the smaller entities might have just sent their tallies into Tarrant Appraisal District. My last conversation with Jeff Law, who's the chief appraiser, was on Monday, and he didn't mention to me whether or not they'd received any other votes yet.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Ms. Bracken? So just to be clear, Ms. Bracken, we just need to look at our lists, and then for our next meeting, we will decide who we're going to allocate and how many votes we will allocate.
Correct.
Is that correct? Okay.
And you'll notice in your packet that there's a resolution that I've already drafted that will be filled out and executed, and behind it is a copy of the official ballot, and you'll mark on there how many of the 290 votes you're going to allocate to however many candidates you choose.
Okay.
And that discussion will be in open session?
Yes, it will.
If anyone has any questions or comments that we could technically discuss at this moment, any of the candidates or anything like that, if anybody
course.
has any, if anybody has anything they'd like to say or share, you're welcome to.
I do have one last question.
Sure.
Is there a precedent or historical context for how Tarrant County College has typically decided to allocate their votes in terms of for all one candidate or dispersing them among multiple?
Because Tarrant County College does not have enough votes in and of itself to elect a candidate, The board has always kind of kept an eye on where our strategic partners are placing their votes and have generally, sometimes it's put all of them with one candidate, sometimes it's splitting them up. They probably split it more frequently than they give it to one candidate. But mostly we try and work with our strategic partners.
And you said we'll be electing 5,
5,
and that will be that total board?
yes.
Any further questions or comments for Ms. Bracken? Any questions on what the expectations are for next week? Okay.
Is there a brief explanation on how the votes are allocated?
It's based on the amount of tax. The appraisal district is responsible for appraising the value, obviously, of property. But they make an allocation based on the amount of tax that each of these taxing authorities collects in the county, which is why the ISDs have such a disproportionate number of votes.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Bracken.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll go on to trustee remarks. We'll start with Mr. Hornsby. Anything you'd like to share today?
Well, I was a little derelict in duty. I didn't get pictures in.
It's okay.
But I would like to thank Dr. Coppola. We had a wonderful tour at Southeast Campus on, was it last week or week before last? Week before Friday. Yeah, okay, week before Friday. And I learned quite a bit. I'd never been in the culinary department, so I got to go back in the kitchen and see the culinary department and meet the chef, Miss Catherine, and talked a lot about and walked and shown about the renovations that are going to take place, the new buildings where they're going to be. So that was pretty exciting. And to learn that we had a mixology class. That was really interesting. And they say people fill that class up pretty quickly. Not to partake, but they're learning how to be mixologists. And then on Monday, I had the blessed privilege of being the Veterans Day speaker here at Trinity River Campus, and that was an awesome experience for me.
Yes.
To be able to do that. So.
Thank you very much for doing that, and thank you for sharing. Thanks. Do you have anything, Mr. Greenhill, you'd like to?
Reg, I participated in the. Am I going to talk about that at the meeting? At the meeting, I don't have anything to say right now.
No worries. Thank you. Dr. Morrison, anything you'd like to report on, share, maybe remind folks about the date for the
10th annual, the celebration of the 10th annual intergenerational community conversation will take place next Thursday, TCC South Campus, in the Fusion Room, beginning at noon. But if you can come a little bit early, we'll have a little bit of extra excitement. And the meeting itself will kick off at noon. It'll go until about 1:45, where we engage all of the generations from 10 and older in conversation about pertinent issues of the day. And we will have greetings from our Chancellor, from our Board President, from the Mayor of Forest Hill, students of various ages. So I'll make sure you get that invite today. Excuse me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Morrison. How about yourself, Mr. Kine? Bless you.
Excuse me.
I will share pictures of our visit to TCC Southeast Campus for next week, but just to echo Mr. Hornsby's remarks, one of the highlights of the visit for me was I had been connected via mutual friends with Carla Hernandez, who is the director of the TCC Southeast Food Pantry, for an event that the First United Methodist Church of Arlington will be conducting with the food pantry as their beneficiaries on December 18th. But I was able to meet Carla alive and in the flesh as a part of that visit, so that was a lot of fun for us.
Great, thank you very much. Meg? Okay. I just wanted to mention that I had an opportunity to participate in a Veterans Day celebration this morning over at Northeast Campus. I'm sorry, I didn't bring any pictures either. I apologize. I took some. But it was very special because my father, his name is Michael Ayala, is a World War II veteran. He served in the Merchant Marines, and he was able to accompany me. So it was very, very special, but it was also nice to see some of the staff members that were recognized as well. So I want to thank Kenya, Dr. Ayers Palmore, and her staff for the hospitality, and also for recognizing all of the folks that were in attendance there. She actually presented each of the veterans with a small coin, very similar to what, and it just meant the world to them. It was just such a nice recognition. It was a national anthem and the Pledge of Allegiance and just a moment of silence, and just a few words were spoken, but it was very nice. So I want to congratulate them. And also thanks to everyone that had planned activities at their campuses. We really do appreciate that we are acknowledging and recognizing our veterans and their families that have served our country so honorably. So thank you. We'll go on to the Chancellor's overview.
Thank you. This was a short month from our last meeting, therefore the agenda reflects a little bit of that. There are no items related to advancing the academic programs or advancing learning support and engagement. But I do want to call out one particular item that you do have on your agenda as it's being somewhat unique. And that is, last month you received a presentation, very extensive presentation, outlining the college's existing comprehensive marketing plans. And that primary focus certainly is to reach a potential audience that may wish to enroll in TCC. But as you're aware, with the beginning of the Corporate Solutions and Economic Development Office, as well as a recasting, if you will, of our Advancement Office, both of those create a need for further strategic messaging to potential businesses, clients, philanthropic partners, and such. And so we have on the agenda an engagement that will better able the staff for us to expand existing plan to include audiences much more intentionally to reach those types of potential clients, if you will. So this will allow us to develop and deploy targeted messages and products in a way that is much more responsive to the changing needs of these new audiences. So directly reaching out and speaking to businesses, directly reaching out and speaking to the philanthropic community, something that we have not done. And certainly that's an ever-changing, evolving opportunity, and so we want to engage in the ability to be able to do that. So that is one new item, somewhat new to the college, and significant for your consideration this coming week. So thank you.
Okay, thank you, Chancellor. We'll go ahead and go on to advancing capital improvements, starting with 5A, consideration and approval of contract with TD Industries for domestic hot water boiler replacement at Trinity River Campus in the amount of $258,222.30. Ms. Alanis. Hi.
Hi. So this campus was built in 2003, and so in 2019 we installed a temporary solution for boilers that will be now replaced by the more permanent solution and coordinate with the rest of the campus. And there is still some useful life in the equipment that'll be removed, and so it'll be used in another location on our campus, but a routine maintenance of our infrastructure.
Any questions or comments for Ms. Alanis? Okay. Did you have one? Certainly.
One, there speaks of 2 boilers, and then that there would be 3 other electrical water heating systems that would be removed and replaced by this. But back here on the back under the plumbing system, it talks about 7 different boilers or heaters. The first, see 2 existing 400-gallon, 3 residential water heaters, and then 2 100-gallon temporary heaters. Are they all part of the same thing, or?
You know what, I don't have my reinforcements here today that would probably be able to answer that question more specifically, but I'll get an answer for you.
Okay, because the others, they're saying they're going to be utilized somewhere else.
That's correct.
But these others, there's no explanation for it.
I believe they'll just be taken out of service at that point and served by the two that are being installed, but let me get an explanation from someone with more expertise
Okay,
than myself.
thank you.
You don't want to take a stab at that for me?
I do not.
Question. All right, thank you. Thank you for that. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you. We'll move on to 5B. Consideration and approval of amendment to number 2 to the agreement for professional design services with Perkins and Will, Inc., to provide for an owner's control contingency fund in the amount of $770,000.
Yeah, so normally with our contracts, we establish a 10% contingency that's controlled by the college and primarily under the executive director of real estate and facilities, Okong Hemmings, to respond to things that they learn as they're going through programming and what the actual design requirements would be. That was an oversight in this instance, and we did not include that contingency. This is not new money. It's included in the program or project budget. It's just allowing us the contract authority to be able to have that flexibility as we move forward with the design work.
Do we have any questions or clarifications for Ms. Elenise? Okay, we'll move on to 5C. Consideration and approval of a contract with TD Industries for construction and installation services for the chiller replacement project at Southeast Campus in the amount of $643,877.50.
You may recall that back in August, you authorized the acquisition of the equipment for this project. And since that time, we did a solicitation for the construction and installation, and that's what this covers at this time.
Clarifications at all? No? All right. Other items, we'll move on to 5D. Consideration and approval of custodial agreement with U.S. Bank National to serve as a safekeeping agent for the settlement and custody of fixed income securities at an annual cost of approximately $14,000.
So while this doesn't meet the threshold of what normally comes to the board, we wanted to be fully transparent in this relationship that we needed to establish. You may recall that as we shift to a management agreement with PFM to handle a lot of our investments more actively, we've been working on the transition for that activity. And one of the things that we realized upon discussion with JP Morgan is that they essentially provide one kind of safekeeping account. And if you look at the GFOA best practices, they recommend that we actually have a custodial account, which JP Morgan does not do for our purposes. The reason for that is that it segregates it clearly from the retail and commercial activities. It allows them to handle during the setup of when you're acquiring the securities and the investments. This also allows us to be in more of a supervisory role than an administrative role, and assign some of the responsibilities to PFM as they're managing activities. And it protects us more heavily too, because in the current agreement with JP Morgan, those assets are not clearly protected from their creditors and that kind of thing. In this kind of an account, it allows it to be completely segmented, and it's on our behalf. And so they are our assets that we own, and they would be protected under those circumstances. So we're following the best practices, and then this will be more effective administratively.
Any questions or comments? So is this, Ms. Elenise, is this like an insurance of some sort?
No,
It's not, right?
No, it's
not.
essentially if you've got cash that you're holding to settle your investments that you're making in the
Right.
purchase of securities, that there's a settle up that needs to happen when you receive delivery of
Okay.
the securities and when they're paid for those securities. And so it's
Okay.
an account to accomplish all of that.
Okay,
Yeah.
I've got it. Okay. So this is more of like an industry-type standard. It's not necessarily just, so whether we would be at ABC Bank or whatever, I mean, this would be a requirement?
Yes, and so our existing banking contract with JP Morgan already does have safekeeping services that we had in the past. As we've transitioned to PFM and we want to give them some responsibilities as part of that, that's when we started looking at this more carefully and have decided that a custodial account makes more sense for safekeeping than the current arrangement. And again, that's consistent with what GFOA would recommend as well.
Thank you. Okay. No further questions? All right, we'll move on to 5E, consideration approval of resolution approving the designation of investment officers at Tarrant County College District.
So a couple of things. I went through my biannual PFIA training, and also we've got a new employee who's involved in a role in this with Ronnie Watkins. And so essentially we've been acting as having investment officers with the reports that you receive each month with delegation to certain administrative people on our team. And the Public Funds Investment Act actually requires a resolution by the board. And so we are making that so and reflecting the role that Ronnie will play as well. But I'm the investment officer. There's a team of 4 people that have delegated responsibilities as part of that activity.
Okay.
And I apologize. One other thing, Lindsay
Yes.
Brannon's last name has changed to Lindsay Blaine, and I will be correcting that between now and next week. That we'll correct her name on this document.
Okay. Any questions or comments? All right.
Okay,
Yes, you have one, Dr. Morrison? Yes.
just to clarify, she made the statement that she's the investment officer, but it's delegated to the other 4 people. This doesn't say that, but does it not need to say that? Ms. Bracken?
What it does say down at the bottom is that the Tarrant County College District Chief Operating Officer, so me, delegates the following employees from the Finance Department as investment officers. And so they'll have some of those administrative roles within it.
Okay. But again, it doesn't say that you're the chief investment officer. So I'm only asking the question for clarity. It says that you delegated to those 4 people, and perhaps it's implied that if you're able to delegate, the authority is with you.
Oh,
But
I'm
I'm
sorry.
asking
I
the
apologize.
question.
I understand what you're saying. So actually, in our investment policy, it declares me as the chief investment officer, so that's what it's intended here. But we'll go back and look at the language and see if more clarity is helpful.
And perhaps for clarity in this resolution,
Okay.
you might refer to the investment policy. Is Ms. Bracken still here?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, I was looking the wrong. So you might refer to that so that it has perfect clarity.
Sure. Under the first whereas clause, it talks about me being the investment officer under the policy, but if it would be helpful to the board, we can make that more clear that it's part of what you're resolving as well. We can make that a little bit more explicit.
It would
I think.
be helpful
work
to
for you?
me.
Yes.
Okay, sure.
I think it makes it clear.
Okay.
Thank
Would
you.
that be okay, Ms. Bracken, that we could just add that? Okay. Thank you for bringing that up, Dr. Morrison.
Thank you.
Okay. Any further clarifications for Ms. Alanis? Okay. All right. 5F, consideration and approval of 1-year renewal of network on demand circuits through AT&T with an annual cost of $305,625 and ratification of $108,800 overage amount for additional circuits to the initial 3-year term for a total amount of $414,425. How are you?
Good. Thank you, Ms.
Yes.
Ayala, the board, and Chancellor Giovannini. Wanted to let you know the supporting documents, there should be.
Excuse me.
Yes, ma'am.
For clarity of myself and the other persons who might be watching, could we ask the speakers to identify themselves when they come to the podium, please?
Sure. I'm Dave Killingsworth, Executive Director of IT Business Administration and User Support.
It helps us to get
Thank you.
reacquainted as
No
well.
problem.
Thank
Last
you.
time I
Thank you.
saw the board was when I first got here in January, so.
Thank you.
Thank you.
There are some supporting documents that weren't in your packets. The contract from AT&T came in late, so we should be able to have those handed out to you. There's also a bit of a math document in case there's some explanation needed. But on November 15th, 2018, the board approved as an agreement for network on-demand inter-campus circuits to AT&T to provide phones and network connections between the data centers. The agreement was for 3 years with 2 one-year optional renewals. This request is to exercise that first optional renewal. Network on Demand is a service designed to allow TCC to be flexible in its delivery of internet and network to its locations. In the past, each location would need its own contract and service agreement, so moving those connections would be very expensive. We'd have to do cancel penalties, start new services, new contracts, and those moves could take up to a year to accomplish. The Network on Demand is a bundled service, allows us to move any of our 18 connections at any time to any other location through use of a portal, and the time it takes to do it is about a month. It's more cost effective for the college. Over the last year, we moved the rest of our sites to this service. It's increased our costs beyond the original contracted amount for the last year of the contract. So this extension is catching up that last year for the contract, extending it, and then ratifying the contract for one more year. During the next fiscal year, we plan to put this service out for RFP again to look for potentially better savings. Any questions?
Any questions or comments for Mr. Killingsworth? I just have a this is probably, very simple question, but so many things use, there's no landlines anymore. A lot of folks are using more of a cell service. So is this an actual physical line?
These are just large versions of what would connect to your house. They are true Ethernet connections. A lot of them are fiber to the building and then Ethernet through the building, but those connections are all hard. They're hard lines.
So is that even an option that we would explore at some point?
To what?
To go to more of a cell type of service.
Cellular can be more unreliable. So I worked for the federal government for a while for the Department of Defense. Hard lines are always your preference for stability of service. Okay. Sometimes ancillary or backup connections can be done by microwave, cloud-based services, satellite. There's a lot of options, but hard line is always your preference.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions, comments? Okay. All right, you're up again, so
Yes.
You don't have to introduce yourself. So we're
Okay.
this time, right, Dr. Morrison? We know you all now. Consideration approval of purchase of hardware from Xerox Business Solutions Southwest, Computer Discount Warehouse, Netsync, GTS Technology Solutions, and SHI International Corp for faculty and staff mobility refresh in the amount of $2,949,099.
Yes. The district is working to ensure that the faculty and staff have access to mobile technology to assist them with in-person classes, distance learning, and online administrative work. With the ongoing need for this enablement for distance learning, the district needs to replace devices that currently do not effectively facilitate the continuation of distance learning. Upgrading the equipment that's listed in this will enable the following things: faculty and staff mobility, refresh of outdated technology, empowerment of hot swap methodology for staff to replace any device that's failing. We just hand you a new one, no opening it up, working on it. Standardization of district technology platform and extended warranty support services for the devices. To mitigate the future fiscal impact of this large purchase, IT will stagger the future replacement of these devices over 2 fiscal future years. We will flatten the future replacement costs when they reach the end of life. Due to the continued advance in technology and mobile nature of these devices, the planned refresh cycle is 4 years. When the devices reach their end of life, they go to an auction, and the company will basically destroy the hard drives or certify that they are data-free. And then the funds collected from those auctions are delivered back to the college to a fund that we control within the college. This project is a great opportunity to utilize HER funds to catch up and accelerate our technology refresh and transition to the mobile computing platform for the district. Any questions?
Any questions or comments for Mr. Killingsworth? This is all hardware. Is there any software included in this?
No, this is a pure, it's all computing devices and all the accessories needed to take everybody who's got an old platform and get them to either a Surface or Surface laptop, plus multiple monitors, keyboards, everything we possibly need to catch us up. We're behind right now, and this will give us an opportunity to really accelerate and get caught up.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Does this also work for cell phones, or is this just computers?
Cell phones are not included. in
Okay.
this. I'm not sure what the policy is for the college maintaining cell phones.
Any other questions or comments? Would you like to ask that? We can pose that to the Chancellor if that's a question that you'd like to find out about the cell phones, and he can. Okay. Do you mind checking into that for us? Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, let's see, we're on 5H, consideration and approval of the purchase of hardware from Sequel Data Systems, Inc. for the virtual desktop infrastructure endpoint upgrade in the amount of $343,902.75. Mr. Killingsworth.
The district is in the process of expanding our virtual desktop infrastructure. I'm sure everybody has heard VDI many, many times. It allows us for a flexible available workspace for our students. The upgraded technology will improve the online delivery of services from the VDI environments, ensuring optimized learning experience. Remember that VDI technology is what allows our endpoint devices to connect to an endless number of virtual classes. In the past, old labs would only be able to do a one-for-one service. With VDI, each terminal can serve as a virtual class from our servers, making every space infinitely configurable. On September 23rd, 2021, the board approved the expansion of the VDI environment, Board Memo 0627-2021-0923. With the approval of the expansion of the server side of the environment, we now need to upgrade all of the lab classroom endpoint connections to the new technology. With this, we will empower students to have the best possible workspaces for utilizing all of our VDI technology. The devices will be more powerful, easy supported, and ensure optimized VDI experience for our students using our flexible lab spaces. The project is yet another wonderful opportunity to finish the conversion and utilization of VDI platform and technology utilizing HER funds.
Any questions or comments for Mr. Killingsworth? Yes, Ms. Wood.
When will this be available?
We're currently already deploying VDI. We are currently in the process right now. We have any space that has not been converted to VDI, we're currently doing the assessment, and then we'll build the classes and deploy it. The goal is to, by the end of the fiscal year, have every space that can be VDI converted to VDI. We're also leveraging VDI for part-timers who have a fixed location, so instead of having to hand out like mobile devices, it's much more cost-effective to have a VDI terminal so that they can be flexible. Anybody can sit in that space and bring up their environment and work. So the goal is by the end of the fiscal year, have majority of the lab spaces converted. I can't give you a definitive timeline because with supply chain issues, the arrival of this equipment is kind of contingent on when we would start the project.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you for the question. No further questions? Okay, thank you. So 5I, consideration and approval of one-year contract with 2 one-year renewal options with PytchBlack LLC to provide resources to expand TCC's integrated marketing plan to reach additional audiences in the amount of $750,000 not to exceed annually. Mr. Gates.
Thank you, Trustee
Yes.
Ayala and trustees and Chancellor Giovannini. I don't think I can add much to the information the Chancellor provided in his overview about this. I'll bring up the campaign as you know it, so most of you will remember, with the exception of our new trustees, TCC means business campaign. We've talked about over the past, and we sort of put it on hold as the Chancellor brought on Shannon to head that division, and then the work was done to build the infrastructure into that department so that we'd be poised. So this, in effect, is the launching of that campaign. And what you see quickly will be just some of the, did I do that, Gina? Yeah. Some of the components of the campaign. So we're looking to sort of launch a bit of it the latter part of this year, going into next year. And these are sort of the components that we're looking at having as part of it. You're going to hear from Shannon and Lauders in a minute about the EEVF program and them about to launch the second cohort of that program. That's a component of what we're doing. And then they're going to have a corporate cafe series, Coffee Talk, I think, or something along that lines. That's going to be part of what we focus on. The Chancellor talked about the targeted audience for this, business and philanthropic to some degree within those corporate environments. And then the facility rental, you had the opportunity to do on the retreat to take a tour of the facility up at Seattle. And these are just 3 legs of what we're going to roll out. But you've seen the Lens magazine. You've heard about the podcast that featured the Chancellor and Heed at that point. And those are some of the other programs that we're going to do. So talked about the coffee series. Here's some of the website improvements that they're going to be recommended for Shannon's website so that it speaks more precisely to that audience. We're looking at the geofencing component of this work and kind of isolating industry so that we can focus. Here's some more website suggestions. Again, the tag of TCC means business is going to be some of the boilerplate things that we use. Here's some other suggestions where we promote events that Shannon would be hosting up at the Alliance Center. Some of the spots that we potentially will use with the local media. There's another. And again, social media, we're going to buy spots on social media. That's where the geofencing would come in. So we would do some of the follow me tagging of those sectors so that as the employees, particularly HR folks, CEOs, is who we're really wanting to talk to. Chambers, of course, those are some natural alignments that we've always done. So that's just a quick about what we're doing with this campaign. And we think we now have, as I said earlier, the infrastructure in place that we can actually roll it out. Any questions?
Yes, we have some questions. Go ahead, Mr. Barr.
How do we measure the results?
It's while we talked about the optional 2 years, that's why we did this for 1 year so that we can put some of those metrics in place. That's why it was important to get the infrastructure first, so that as we start to push out, we had things in place that we could actually address the needs of those clients. So I would have to say, Mr. Barr, to probably be at the end of that year that I could come back with some true metrics.
Well, I would suggest that I don't know a whole lot about this process, but I would suggest that an interim report of some kind would be appropriate.
Okay.
Maybe it's 6 months
6
or
months.
something like that.
We'll do.
I can be talked out of that, but it would seem to me to make sense. Mr. Greenhill's.
I'm very interested in this too, and your audiences are the businesses, right?
Yes,
So
sir.
what you'll be doing is sending this information the best you can to the media and online or anything, or emails, or tell us what you're going to be doing
Yes,
here.
we'll use social media, but unlike we'll do some awareness kind of appeals. When you saw some of the magazines, that's a scatter shoot, right? But we have a very targeted clientele that we'll go after. Say the Alliance Corridor, as an example. That's a clientele that's directly associated with the location, and we know specifically who those companies are, so we would target them directly. Think about the business development component of it. So Shannon will have reps that actually work territories. So it's a little different than what we do for the traditional student that we use. We actually will go after these target populations and isolate them, go out and meet with them and try and identify their needs, and then build custom training around those needs. So it's a combination of both. We'll do some generic things, but when I talked about geofencing, things like that, those are very specific to industries and to those companies, quite honestly.
Let me just interject. I'm not questioning the program or anything about it. This is something I think we need to do. We need to get on with it, but I'm concerned that if it's not getting the results after 6 months or so, it might need to be tweaked, and that's all I'm suggesting. It's a good project. Don't get me wrong.
Who are we, when I'm out talking with business people, there are all kinds of needs. I mean, are we looking for companies that can afford to do this kind of thing with a particular, like welders and things like that? Or what is our audience? I mean, just.
I feel like I'm getting in your lane,
I mean,
Shannon. So.
just exactly like whom, if I'm talking to somebody who needs, like I was talking to somebody the other day who's in the glass business, and he doesn't have the workforce to do his work. Do you follow me? I mean, who are we?
I do follow you. So the purpose of the Corporate Solutions Department is really to go out and engage with the businesses like you're speaking with, the CEOs, the executives, the human resource managers, the plant managers, and to ask them one question: what are your workforce needs and how can we assist you? So in the instance where you hear that they need workers because they want to hire our students because they need skilled labor for those positions, that is an instance where they need students. They want to engage with certain programs here at TCC. They want an intern. They want to start an apprenticeship. They want to start an apprenticeship program.
Okay.
Those are instances where if we hear those needs, myself, I will come back and I will go to my fellow colleagues, the presidents of the various campuses, the deans, the chairs, to engage them with those businesses. But the core mission of the corporate solutions team, of what the work that we will be doing, is to design customized learning and development programs for those organizations. So in the instance, that's really focusing on their incumbent workforce. So for example, let's say you have 5 new leaders that you promote, and those people have never been leaders before. So we would design a customized learning program to meet those leaders where they are in the organization. So everything is designed based on the value, the mission, the vision, the values of the corporation that we're working with. So we really get into the weeds with the businesses. What's your culture? Where are you today? Where do you want to be in 2-3 years from now? And how do we customize the solutions for the organization? So we really lead as the broker for the college for the business needs and bring those back as necessary. But other than that, our core mission is really working in the customized solution space.
What's the size of a business that you're thinking about? I mean, I could look at, the business press will have, the Fort Worth Business Press will have, here are the businesses in Fort Worth. Mm-hmm. And a lot of us can look at these businesses and say, hey, look, I know this guy.
Right.
Okay.
So we work anywhere from small, medium to large size organizations. We do really 3 things: facilitation, coaching, and consulting. So the intention is really to build this as a business unit of the college that is meant to respond to businesses in a timely manner. So we can do anything from a training session of 50 to 100 people in an organization for something that they might need. So for example, we just recently did a customized training for a company that's a food and beverage company here in Tarrant County, and they needed 15 of their folks to be trained in conveyor belt. So we were able to find an expert in conveyor belt training for the food and beverage industry, and we were able to customize a solution for that organization. Or we may have an instance where a company comes to us and says, hey, I've got a leader who has a great skill set, but they're not playing nice in the sandbox with everybody else in the organization. So perhaps we do an assessment, we administer assessment tool, and then we do professional coaching for that individual. Just recently, we had some requests from some executives in the area requesting executive coaching for some of their senior leaders. So we'll be doing that work as well. So it could be anyone from a big group to one individual in an organization.
Okay. Thank you. There are also opportunities with companies like Whit Smith, a company that does employment advisory services and hiring people and so forth and so on. Mm-hmm. I'm getting it. Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you. Thank you for those questions.
Well,
you have a question, Mr. Khan?
This is really important.
It is, I know.
I have one question.
Sure.
So the landscape in North Texas, as far as programs that are like what Corporate Solutions offers, just depending on the price range, could be a little bit dense. And I'm wondering if potential partners in these programs can easily identify the price points, or if that will be something that would be shared via the website redesign. The reason I ask that is because often, companies go into this with a budget in mind, and that may differentiate between whether they pursue the TCC option versus another option.
Right. So typically the way this kind of business for a community college works, at least in my previous employment, is a couple of things. We will have flat rates on programs like the Corporate Cafe series that you saw on the PytchBlack slides that Red showed. In those instances, we will have flat rates for programs. So for example, our breakfast briefings are going to be around $25. Our lunch and learns are going to be around $50. And the intention behind those is that they're going to be value add programs to draw businesses to us to learn of the value that we can provide to their company, with the intent that they will say, hey, I really enjoyed that. I got a lot out of that. Can you please come do that for my organization? And we go do that for their organization on a customized basis. Other than that, we will have available skills development funds through TWC. Should an organization not have an option to have the funds internally, there are some concerns there because of the fact that that takes a very long process, and sometimes businesses don't have that leeway to be able to wait. And also, there's a lot of restrictions with the Skills Development Fund, from you have to have so much of a percentage of technical skills that we would have to administer in training, and also we would have to have so much in the level of essential skills. So it's kind of an interesting dynamic. Other than that, it does come with a customized solution. So what we do is we have a cost analysis sheet in our department, and we will go out and we will visit with the company. We will ask the questions pertaining to budget if they're willing to give that. If not, we customize a solution by going through the cost assessment. How much time does it take for development? Can I use an internal person? Do I need to hire an external person? What does that price point look like? So then it becomes a customized solution based on what our ROI is. So I'd be happy to share that with you at any time, just to kind of walk you through what that process looks like.
Thank you for that question, Mr. Kine. Any other questions or comments? I do have a question for you, Mr. Gates, if you don't mind, for clarification. So to Mr. Barr's question about how we're measuring this, I like the idea of doing a 6-month recap. Is it possible that we could get an update on what are the measurement tools that they're going to have in place? Maybe just get an update to us maybe sooner than the 6-month period, just so we can get an idea. Because obviously they have something in mind when they offered this as a service to us. So we'd like to kind of find out what those are and what the expectations are, just based on what they're proposing.
Will do.
Yeah, is that something we could request for next week, Chancellor? Okay, that would be great if you could provide that.
Okay, benchmarks.
Okay. Any other questions? Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. We have a number of briefings and some informational items for this afternoon. The first briefing would be on the Everyday Entrepreneur Venture Fund presentation, and Shannon Bryant and Lourdes Rumbo. Quite the duo. And you can introduce yourself, too, if you like.
Yes. So I am Shannon Bryant, Executive Vice President for Corporate Solutions and Economic Development, and Dr. Bennett will also be joining us at the end today.
Lourdes Rumbo, Faculty and Chair for Entrepreneurship Program.
So today we are here to present to you information pertaining to the Everyday Entrepreneur Venture Fund, where we are about to celebrate our 1-year anniversary of having this program in place. We just completed the first cohort. And so for those of you board members who were not here last year, I want to give a little bit of background pertaining to what is EEVF and why is it important to our community. And then Lourdes is going to go through a slide deck talking a little bit about where have we been, where are we now, and where are we going in the future, because we're getting ready to launch the second cohort. Applications will go live next week. So last year, around the June-July timeframe, we received notification from NACE, the National Association of Community College Entrepreneurship, that they were about to open up applications for community college in the United States to be able to apply to win awards as it based on funding for education programs around entrepreneurship. We were one of many applicants to apply, and we were one of 5 community colleges in the country who actually were awarded the second phase of colleges to be able to receive funding. So the Everyday Entrepreneur Venture Fund is actually a couple by the name of Chip and Stuart Weissmiller. They are a couple who have been very successful in their careers, and they wanted to give back. So they wanted to give money to these colleges to help provide pass forward for entrepreneur education. So we received $20,000. We then had to match an additional $20,000. So we started out with $40,000 last year, and Dr. Bennett will give an update as to where we are today. And the intention of the program is to really focus on just that, the everyday entrepreneur person, the person who's not typically able to apply for funding elsewhere. So for example, let's say you're someone who owns a food truck and you need to buy a microwave, or maybe you need to buy a new oven for your food truck. That's really the target audience for this program. We were one of the only colleges of all of the former Phase 1, as well of all of our colleagues in Phase 2, to actually open it up not only to the student base at TCC, but also the community. Within 30 days, we had a very short runway to get this up and presented. Within 30 days, we received 26 applicants. And that was not an easy process. They had to provide a business plan, they had to provide a feasibility study, they had to produce a 2 to 3 minute video, they had to present what it is that they wanted in funding and why they needed that funding. So it was not by any means an easy process. We formed a funding committee of community members that included a number of chamber presidents, executives, small business owners in the area, and we'll show a list of who all those folks are that we used for both cohort 1 as well as the new funding committee members for cohort number 2. The entire purpose behind this program was to provide 12 months of 3 things. Number 1, customized education. So the funding committee ended up funding 9 of the 26 applicants that we were received. We funded the most of any college in either Phase 1 or Phase 2. And the intention was to provide one-on-one customized education, which Lourdes has been doing mostly herself along with some mentors. Also to provide some level of seed funding. Lourdes will present that here in just a few moments. And then also to provide mentorship. And for the past year, we have been providing some of that mentorship through our advisors of the Small Business Development Center. So I will turn it over to Lourdes and have her go through the rest of the details, and then we will open it up for questions.
Thank you, Shannon. All right, I make sure that I use this right. Am I using this side? Okay, perfect. Oh, nope, the other button. It's the other side. There you go, the other right. So what is EVF? Shannon has shared with you a little bit about that, and why does it matter to our community, something that we wanted to share with you. Update you on the first cohort recipients, and then talk a little bit about the launch of EVF 2.0, what's new, what we've changed, and then discuss a little bit about the long-term sustainability and scalability of this program, because we believe that this can make a tremendous difference in our community, and we feel very fortunate to have been part of round 2 of the NACCE Weiss-Miller's partnership. Shannon didn't say this, but we were the only community college in the state of Texas to receive funding, so we're very happy and proud to have been able to do that. Thank you. So what is EVF? Well, as Shannon has shared, the Weiss-Miller's vision has always been about the underfunded small startup, right? Those individuals who have no means of really reaching out to a financial institution, going directly to them and saying, hey, I need some funding to $1,000 or $5,000 to get me to the next level in my business, or to just get started. And so their vision has always been who helps those individuals, because those are the Main Street folks, the folks that really contribute to the economic growth in a community. So it was really about focusing on underfunded entrepreneurs with a focus on startups, young businesses, and underrepresented populations. That's at the core of EVF, that's what it's all about. So the goal was to provide, and is to provide still, small amounts of funding that can make a tremendous difference to that small business owner or to that individual who's getting started. So I can't go to the bank and ask them for that funding, so this would be a way. And I think that what we have seen, at least with cohort 1, is exactly what the realization of the vision of the Weiss-Millers. And that is that we funded, you'll see in a minute, between $2,000 and $7,000. And for some of those businesses, has been the game changer from not being able to achieve profitability to today being able to say that I have made a little bit of money, right? And I'm profitable today. So their vision has definitely become a reality. So what is the EVF and why does it matter again? Is, recognizes owners, subcontractors, consultants, anybody who has an idea to start a business or has already started the business but needs the next layer of support in order to get it to the next level that they need. As defined by the program, 3 types of entrepreneurs: everyday entrepreneurs, a unique startup idea, somebody has come up with something new, the scaling of an existing business, so I've already started my business and now I need to take it to the next level, and or the replication of proven business, right, in a new community. So I have started my business and I now want to be able to make it, present that business in a different community than the one where I started it. So round 1 funding, as Shannon said, we opened the applications on October the 22nd of 2020, and we closed them on 12/1 of 2020. We received 26 applications, and our funding committee funded 9 of those 26. They interview each one of these applicants. We did this virtually because, as you know, we were all under COVID restrictions at the time, and so everything had to be done virtually. But they did interview each and every one of those 9, and based on those interviews, they chose to fund all 9 members, or 9 individuals. And here's a listing of our recipients, their businesses, the industry they're a part of, and the funding that they received. So I'll give you a minute to take a look at that.
Are these companies already formed legally?
Yes, sir. One of the requirements was that they had to be an LLC, a C Corp, an S Corp, or a partnership.
Okay.
So they are established by the time they come to us with an application. Yes, sir.
I see opportunities as many law firms have pro bono services that help entrepreneurs do these kinds of things. Okay.
Well, on the credit side of the house, and also with these entrepreneurs, we have done some work with the Texas A&M Law School because they also offer pro bono services depending on your level of income right here in Fort Worth. So some of them have worked with them as well.
Okay.
So just to point out a few things, we have some graduates of TCC in this listing, very proud of. So Justin McLaughlin received his Associate of Arts from TCC. Lakeitha Van Zandt received her nursing degree here from TCC. And Brent Muscat, I'm like, what am I missing? Brent Muscat is a graduate of our Fire Services Academy. So 3 great TCC alumni represented in this group. And so really happy to have that opportunity, particularly because, as Shannon said, we were the only community college that chose to open it up to the entire community and our students and our alumni. And we had representation from our alumni here in this group as well.
So these companies are already doing business when we start funding them. I mean, it's just that we're trying to help them increase, or you're trying to start it up? I mean, is it a real startup?
Some are already doing business. Others are still in the startup phase. So, for example, Karen Hand's Adult Day Center, for her, when she presented her application, she was still in the idea phase, and the funding committee chose to fund her. And so what we've done is the work of helping her. She had already the LLC, and she had already some connections, but she had to get some certifications, which we helped with. She had to establish certain marketing work that she had to do. And so now we're in the process of helping her. We've partnered with another company that's doing something similar to what she's wanting to do, and helping her with that. Whereas with Brent Bosquet, he's been in business. This 2022 will be his 3rd year of business.
Okay.
So when he came to us, he had already been in business for about a year. Senior Roastery has been around probably for a little bit over a year. So it just different phases, different stages of their life cycle. But they have to be less than, well, last year was less than 4 years in existence. The application process for this year, we changed the requirement a little bit, and it's less than 3 years. So 3 years or younger as a business.
Okay. Thank you.
Yes.
Can you answer a question for me?
Yes.
Where is this funding, like, what bucket is it coming from? Where is this coming from?
From the Weissmillers and NACI.
Okay.
So the Weiss Millers provided NACE with funding, the National Association for Community Colleges for Entrepreneurship. We applied with NACE to receive that funding, that money, and we were awarded $20,000 and matched $20,000.
So it's like a grant, or is it a loan?
They
Do have
call
to pay
it a
back?
gift. The
Okay.
Weiss Millers call it a gift.
Okay.
They don't want us to use the word grant, that original.
Okay. So those people that were on those lists, they don't have to pay that money back?
No, they do not.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for those questions. Any other questions for Ms. Remoa?
I have a question.
Certainly.
I think this was, features on these people were included
Yes,
in the
ma'am.
Reach magazine
ma'am.
that we got last time we were here?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, and the next question is, will these persons be eligible for a second year of funding? Are we gonna do follow-up work with them? What is our plan for that?
So, to your first question, no, they will not be eligible for additional funding. We will be working with them because several of them are ready to be, to work with a financial institution at this point because they've proved profitability. They've proved an investor, which was the EVF funding, and now they have a business plan that is revamped and ready to be presented to that financial institution. So we're working with local institutions, Live Fund, People Fund, to help them take that next step in their financial growth. In terms of the second question, they will be followed up. They have a 12-month commitment with us. So that commitment will end on April of 2022 formally, but informally, and I communicated this to them last week when I met with them. My goal is for them to have a lifetime partnership with TCC and with me and with this program. So not only will we provide support in terms of mentorship, but also we'll ask them to come back and potentially be mentors to the next groups of recipients.
So I can see Shannon and Kristen's brains turning about ways to seek funding to help them move to the next level. It would be unfortunate to get them through 1 year and then not formally be able to help them move forward. So I think that's a great potential. It's like you grow your own clients because as they develop and bring on different levels of their business, they would need our services in terms of developing their employees.
Dr. Morris, I also want to point out not only helping them on the inside of this process, because we're partnering with community partners who can take them from this point forward besides the help that we can provide, but it's also important to note of the 26 applicants last year, like I said, we only funded 9, but for those that did not get through, we actually talked with each of those individuals to let them know what they needed to do to improve their application so they could reapply and get accepted the next time, and we will continue to do that. But the intention is to bring them back as mentors eventually as they get their feet on the ground. But it is important to note that currently the end game is to make these businesses profitable. 4 of the 9 in the past 12 months have become profitable.
Right.
Any other questions or comments?
So I believe that you have had the opportunity to see these videos. So we have them here, and we will play them for you so that you get an opportunity to hear their thoughts around what they believe the program has done for them. So this is Brent Bosquet, IGF Health, Fire and Safety, and Brent is the graduate of our Fire Services Academy.
Hello everyone, my name is Brent Bosquet, owner of IGH Health, Fire and Safety. IGH started about 1.5 years ago, but before that I was a professional firefighter with the Arlington Fire Department, running over 7,000 calls a year out of our firehouse. We are one of the busiest in the nation. The majority of those calls would range anything from your emergency medical services to house fires to car wrecks and everything in between. The beginning of IGH, the idea of it was to start out as just a CPR training school that bridged the gap between healthcare providers, first responders, and the public. Since then, IGH has expanded and grown into so much more. IGH now offers services from workplace safety trainings to fire extinguisher maintenance service and sales to AED equipment service and sales. Our main target audience and market are the business professionals that are the decision makers within a company. The ones that are going to make the decisions for trainings, to get equipment on board, to get servicing on board, and so on. When we market to our customers, a lot of it's done through social media, Facebook, Instagram, Google My Business. It's also done through Google Ads, online search ads, and then in-person marketing, business to business wise. A lot of our marketing has been mouth to mouth also, along with a lot of networking involved. We received $3,200 from the EVF program, $1,600 just recently, and then $1,600 about 4 or 5 months ago. That money allowed us to do many things. It allowed us to move into a brand new facility where we're able to train up to 20 students at a time. We also have a fire extinguisher shop in-house, and we're able to store a lot of different medical equipment that we may sell. This has also provided us the ability to get licensed by the State Fire Marshal's Office and the Texas Department of Insurance to service, maintain, and sell fire extinguishers. We've had many accomplishments and we've hit many milestones since the funding of the EVF program and the education that I've received. Some of these things include moving into our new facility, which is 1,200 square feet, to acquiring new businesses, new contracts, the ability to expand into fire extinguishers and fire safety, to the ability to expand into workplace safety, fit testing, OSHA trainings, and so on. We've had many successes, and a lot of this has come from the EVF program and the amount of support that they've provided and the education that they've also provided. It's been a great use of my time as a business owner, and it's been a very valuable tool in the success of our business. I want to thank the EVF program for everything that they've provided and continue to provide for me and my company and everybody who works with and for us. Thank you.
And I think the next one is Ms. Van Zandt McElroy, Caring Hands Adult Day Center. And again, Ms. Van Zandt McElroy is a graduate of our nursing program here at TCC.
My name is Lakeitha Van Zandt McElroy, and I'm the Executive Director and Registered Nurse of Caring Hands Adult Day Center. With over 20 years of experience across the lifespan, we've created a vision to provide a dignified life for adults with mental or physical impairments while they remain in their own homes and communities as an alternative to institutionalized care. Our services are needed because we provide a peace of mind to caregivers, them knowing their loved one is being attended to in a loving and caring manner while they do all they can to ensure their loved one's needs are continuing to be met is priceless. Considering our services are being offered both in person and online makes us more valuable and convenient in the marketplace while we extend purpose in life to our members. A few highlights of our business is utilizing person-centered culture and planning, which demonstrates our level of respect to our served population. Also, with the multiple avenues in which we offer our services, demonstrate diversity as we create jobs and relationships within a community will be profitable and show stability for all involved. Finally, we decrease preventable deaths by offering social interaction and decreasing isolation and depression. Currently, we're using grassroots marketing that is directed towards caregivers, doctors' offices, the area agency of aging, nursing homes, hospitals, and rehab centers. We utilize our website and social media along with having an information hotline to answer FAQs about our services. Thankfully, I was fortunate to receive $2,000 from the EEVF program, in which is being used to update my website, purchase additional marketing, advertising, and office supplies. I'm in the process of updating my business plan so I can apply for additional funding that will be utilized for capital, payroll, rent, and to purchase more equipment for our services and facility. The milestones I've accomplished with the funding provided through the EEVF program is additional training, certifications, education, and the ability to network with like-minded individuals. My business successes consist of collaborating with the Alzheimer's Association, Covia, and creating relationships with other faith-based organizations.
So those are just two examples of the recipients. And as you can tell, Brent is probably on the higher end in terms of he's been in business for a while, so he has a pretty good sense of the business and is in the process of growing the business. And Lakeitha is more on the starting end, where she's just now getting some of the pieces put together to get her business going. So part of what part one of the EVF program was that we would provide customized education along with the seed funding and mentorship. So the customized education, we worked on business plan enhancements, we've worked on marketing, helping them identify ways in which their marketing can best be utilized and utilizing social media, as well as now we're about to start the modules related to finances. Some of the students, some of the participants are very familiar with the financial side of the business, and others, that is one of their areas of opportunities for growth. So we have worked with them on introducing them to LifePlan, which is a business plan software that we used, introduction to QuickBooks in order for them to maintain their finances. We have brought the SBA to help them identify ways to become minority and women-owned certified businesses. And then we have also brought in experts on social media marketing to help them gain competency around that particular skill set. Some of the lessons we've learned through round one was that some participants, the business concepts and foundational information on how to operate a business was not where we thought maybe they would be, particularly because some of them had already, to your point, sir, had already started the business. So we thought, well, there may be a better understanding. And what we learned is, no, not necessarily. They've gotten there by sometimes luck, and sometimes, they doing some of the things, but not doing other things. So as we learn more through each cohort, we will customize and address more of those particular issues. As part of our round two, we are going to partner with another group of folks that can help me, because for the most part, the customized education has been through me, but help me and really kind of divide them maybe by phase of their business. So the ones that are further along in their phase of their growth of their business, maybe with one individual, and then the ones that are more on the startup side of things can be with another individual as far as their educational or customized educational that we are providing for them. In terms of the mentorship, each entrepreneur was partnered with a business advisor from the SBDC, and the mentors met with those individuals at least twice a month. That was one of the things that we asked them to commit to, both the mentor and the participants. Sometimes some participants required more meetings. I think Lakeitha has been great, and she has met with her mentor probably at least once a week, if not maybe more. But she needed that, and that was something that she was able to do with the mentorship program that we established. What we've learned from the mentor on the mentor side is that we probably need a more structured process to keep track of and have some key metrics as to what is accomplished at each one of those meetings. How can I partner better with the mentor to then bring the educational component in alignment with the things the mentor is hearing and supporting them from that standpoint, and being able to really work with in collaboration with the mentors. So the second round, we're going to also do some changes to the mentorship and sort of in terms of participation.
So I have a few ideas, and I'm sure you've all already thought of these. But the first thing is about resources for mentors. I think that deserves exploring and developing. The other thing is, I think based on the success of your program, it would be great to go back to the two funders and ask them to fund a second year for these people And because it merits, the success merits further extension. And it seems more reasonable to get more funding from these folks than to try to solely find other funding. And I would think that they would be encouraged by what their seed money did and be willing to do that if you were willing to take it to that next level. So that's an idea that I think is worth considering. I'd like for you to consider. The other thing is to the point you made about these persons, you thought they might be at a certain level, but when you really started to talk to them, they weren't. And what I know and what I've heard people say this past week in a couple of meetings that I was in, most people that go into business, people say you need 3 months of this or 6 months of this or whatever. If people really waited to get that in place, they would never go in business.
Right.
And so that's the difference, kind of that entrepreneurial spirit is the willingness, the heart to go into something because you want to do it and you learn as you go and you determine to keep it going. And so I think that that's another important lesson and maybe another parameter that you add as a bonus point to when you look at who's going to get the grant. And so those are just some ideas. I'm sure you've already thought about them, but I wanted to add that. And another thing is all of these people potentially are customers of each other.
Yes.
And I think it's an important thing to help them realize that. They're potential customers for our workforce program and for the other aspects of our other campus programs. And I just think we should develop all of that. I'm excited about it. I'm looking forward to continual updates. I love it that the communications department has captured your story and they're putting that out there. I'm sure if it hasn't already been in Collegian, it'll be in Collegian and in your magazine. But I just think that by bringing everything full circle, we all support each other and help each other grow. So congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I have a couple more things. So wanted to tell you a little bit about launching EVF 2.0. November 15th is our targeted to open applications. And again, last year we did 4 years in existence or less. This year we moved it to 3 years or less. We also identified revenues as of the application date to not exceed $500,000. The requirement is that they continues to be that you reside in Tarrant County or that your business is established in Tarrant County. The business has to be set up as an LLC, an S Corp, a C Corp, or a partnership. They have to submit with their application a business plan and a feasibility study. And as I shared with you earlier, previous EVF funding recipients are not eligible to apply after the initial funding. So those are some of the changes and some of the new things we've done for version 2 of this program. I'm going to let Dr. Bennett talk a little bit about why these numbers look kind of out of whack when you hear, well, the Weissmillers only gave you guys 40,000. Where do we get now that we're going to, each cohort round is going to have 50,000? Well, I'm going to steal a little bit of your thunder, but go ahead. Please, Dr. Bennett, please. It's your thunder.
So, Chancellor, trustees, colleagues, I get the wonderful opportunity to share some great news and address some of the comments and concerns. But, of course, Shannon and Lourdes and your team, you all are the one that does the wonderful work with the community and these participants. We could not do this without you. But on behalf of the TCC Foundation, our TCC Foundation board members approved $500,000 as an allocation for EEVF program. This is from unrestricted earnings that the foundation has within our private dollars that we receive. Part of that is we saw, Shannon, myself, TCC Foundation board members, Lourdes saw that there was an immediate need. We needed to have a second round. So that met the immediate need. The sustainability piece of it is going to be addressed with not only the fundraising within the TCC Foundation staff, but the task force that we've set up within the TCC Foundation board One of them is Everyday Entrepreneur Venture Fund. So we, within the foundation, a couple months ago, approved 4 different fundraising task force. So that doesn't mean that we're not going to fundraise for other opportunities, should there be other opportunities, but our main 4 focuses will be general scholarships, T3, and Everyday Entrepreneur is one of them. We are going to focus as a fundraising foundation board for sustainability purposes. So for the next 18 months, we have a goal of at least $200,000 during the next fiscal year for this program, in addition to the immediate allocation that was set aside, because this program really speaks to not only our alum and our TCC students, but because it is different than any other participant in this program, it is also for our community members. That was one of the aspects, that we are the only participant in this program across the country that opened it up to the community. So that was the other thing. We also, myself and Shannon and Lourdes, applied for a Bank of America grant for $100,000, and we were awarded that. So currently we have $600,000 to help with at least the immediate sustainability, because like you said, this is too important not to have a sustainability plan. And so the team and the foundation board will be focused on that. And with Ken Barr on that committee, we know that we're going to raise more than $200,000.
Oh,
so,
yes.
No pressure.
Yes. All right.
No pressure at all.
Oh, and then also,
You left him speechless.
and then I failed to mention Ball Corporation also provided $9,000 for this program. So it is a program that really is a easy sell, and my country's coming out, to the community and to this institution. And so I have no doubt in my mind that this will be a program for decades to come.
Are you going to have, you mentioned several, you're going to have buckets for these different programs that, for example, on the web page, would you like to donate to?
We already have it up. Okay. Reg and his team, Reg and Suzanne, are currently working on our website and a revitalization of that.
So we can have buckets, we can, okay.
Yes, but in the immediate, like right
immediate.
now, we went ahead and updated it with new stories and the 4 focus areas, because the new website will probably be another 6 months before it's completely revitalized, but we needed that updated immediately, so we updated all the staff, board members, the 4 focus areas, some of the newest magazine, because we needed that immediately. So we do have that, and we're currently also working on our basic materials, so that we have at least these 4 areas, because general scholarships, eliminating barriers, T3, and now the EEVF, and our foundation board has specific goals for each of those, and Ms. Ayala is chair of our eliminating barriers, and we know that she's going to raise more than with this. So
When are you going to start?
so anyway, so this really does address the concerns of immediate sustainability, and then the plan, moving forward. These will always be our 4. I could see this as our 4 main pillars of focus. Any questions?
Any questions for Dr. Bennett? Clarifications? Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
So really quickly, you have some additional information on how we've revamped this program. It will be $50,000 per cohort total. They can award between $5,000 and $20,000 max per eligible applicant that they choose to fund. And then lastly, I'm going to move through these, but I wanted to share with you the round 1 funding committee members. These are the folks that helped us identify who should receive funding for round 1. And we were fortunate enough to have the majority of them remain with us through round 2. As you can see, we have the chambers represented, we have small business represented, we have some big businesses represented. So we try to capture a good group of individuals from Tarrant County. And then for round 2, these are our funding committee members.
And I would just like to take a moment to recognize Dee Jennings. Dee Jennings did serve on our funding committee for round one. We have reached out to the Black Chamber asking for a person, so we're waiting on them to assign us a person for round two.
Thank you.
Thank
Unless
you.
there's any questions.
Any questions, comments? Thank you very much. This is very exciting. We're looking forward to seeing more updates on this, and thank you for the update. So,
Thank you.
Chancellor, can we have regular updates on this, please? Okay.
And PytchBlack, that information Red shared earlier, those social media campaigns will start going out probably as early as next week on EEVF, so you have snapshots of what some of those will look like.
Great, thank you. If we could get those to Mr. Gates, so you can send those out so we can see some of those to the trustees, please. Thank you. Congratulations, sounds great. Okay.
Okay, next briefing is information piece first is on a monthly bond program report. You are going to receive a briefing on the quarterly bond report, but I just want to hit a couple highlights that are in the monthly. Speaking of the Northwest Campus specifically, that things are underway. Slabs are being put down, columns are being put up, and so it actually looks like construction is happening. It's not just a bunch of dirt being moved around. Also beginning to look at the procurement of things like furniture and fixtures and audiovisual equipment and things of that nature that certainly will need to be placed in the buildings. That's for buildings 1 and 2. Buildings 3 and 4 are tracking along, and there'll be some solicitation for subcontractors in the near future here. On the southeast campus, construction documents have begun to be created, and hopefully that the delivery of about half of those will be in place within the next month or so. So that's moving along as well. As far as the 3G, 8P and the MEP buckets, again, we have 4 buckets in this bond campaign. There's some 25 active projects going on right now, specifically dealing with classrooms, and you have acted on some of those, power upgrades and emergency power systems and such, and we'll continue to update you on that, as well as a number of projects in all the campuses that speak to the MEP. And then finally, as it relates to the MWBE, most recent numbers, as well as events, been about 5 events in October, and another 5 or so coming up in November, first half of November. Our MWBE spend as of now, through this month of October, construction was around 35.1% of the spend, and it exceeds our goal of 27%. And professional services to date is about 23.1%, and our goal there is 23.7%, so getting very close to that. So that's some of the information that you have in the monthly bond report. So I'll ask John to come up and do the quarterly bond report. Please, John, thank you.
Thank you, Chancellor, President Ayala, members of the board. I'm John Posh with Jacobs. We're the bond program managers. I'm the director of the bond program. So we've had a lot happening in the last 3 months, a lot to report, a lot still going on, and there's a couple events coming up I'd like to tell you about also. So we'll jump right in here. And so we'll talk about updates from financial and project standpoint, and also MWBE and hub update, and then just looking ahead from project standpoint and things that we'll be bringing you for board approval. So first, the financial update. We have our normal 2 pie charts here. The left is how things are split up by buckets or sub-programs, and on the right is split up by campus. So the bottom line that you see here is $886 million. So that's what we anticipate the total program to cost at this point. So we have the $825 million from the bond, $12 million reimbursement for the Northwest Campus Early College High School, and that number in the middle, $49 million, that's going to fluctuate. But based on our projections right now, we anticipate needing that money. That may go up or down. Unfortunately, with the market these days, it was likely to go up. More to come on that. But that would be funded from pay-as-you-go or fund balance sources. So just some detail, I'll call your attention to the 5th line that says total. So reading across, we have the $886 million budget. We've committed $248 million, and that's about 28% of the total bond program under contract now. And of that, $104 million has been spent. That's about 11%. So $637 million still to be locked up under contract. The bottom is spreadsheet is the project summary. So the bottom line on that, you see some numbers 4, 2, and 17 going across there. Those are the add up to 23 active projects that we've got going on now. There's a total of 129 projects. The others are either in planned or closeout phase. So now I'm going to be Mr. Bad News for just one slide here, but the construction market volatility is the thing we've been talking about, and it's a very real issue that's pressing our pricing upward on our projects. So it's putting a lot of pressure on our projects. This is what you see here is it's still, you know, what I said 3 months ago is that we'd have a better idea of where the market's going now, and unfortunately we do, and the news is not good. So you see some of these prices, how they've gone up. Steel is even going up more than that at a faster rate now, according to some sources. So it's not only putting pressure on the pricing, but also on the material delivery lead times. So roofing, steel, things like HVAC equipment, anything that has electronics in, is taking a long time to get to site. So that's actually causing us to restructure how we deliver these projects. Talk more about that with Northwest and Southeast. But for right now, the news in construction market volatility is still as it was, trending worse right now. Now they're thinking sometime later next year is when things will start to stabilize. So we're keeping a close eye on that. And so we're not completely helpless in this. So I want to talk about a few ways that we're addressing this volatility, because these are things we typically do on projects, but we're really having a focused effort just given where the market is right now. So by using Construction Manager at Risk, it's able to give us good pricing, scheduling, and logistics information to help us make course corrections in the middle of design if we need to, or middle of construction for that matter. We get competitive bids, so I think this is important to point out. Virtually all the costs in our projects on the construction side are by subcontractors, and all that work is meticulously bid by the construction managers to the subcontractor market. So we are getting competitive pricing on these. We're getting market pricing updates as we go along. Again, a chance to give us course correction if we need to. We're getting regular updates on the market trend. We have continuous what we call value engineering. So it's a way to really scrub the scope of the project and look for cost savings opportunities that are not going to impact the program. So far on Northwest and Southeast, we've got about $12 million worth of value engineering things that we've been able to take credits for. So we're doing our best to sort of fight off the volatility in the market, and we've had some successes. So also scheduling strategies, because delivery lead times are so long. So for example, on Southeast, which is a steel building, steel used to be 4 months, now it's 8 months. So we're going to need the steel on Southeast 4 months after we start construction. So we've restructured how we're going to purchase that, and we're doing an early guaranteed maximum price GMP package to just order the steel and get some site work done. So these are things that we're doing to address what's happening in the market. We're continuing to look at it, but I just want to emphasize again, we're at, this is the state of the construction market, and it's kind of reflective of what things are overall with supply chain problems and inflation and things like that.
I have a question about that. I live this every day. Nightmares every day. In addition to the price escalation for materials, namely steel, and the expected delivery times, what is that doing in terms of cost associated with just the length of the projects, extending timelines, things like that, things that are not materials related?
So far, we've been able to manage that, and so far, we're still on track. So Northwest, we're on track. Now, in Southeast, we had some design changes throughout the process where we've moved that schedule back one semester, and that's what you'll see here. But as far as the market, it hasn't impacted schedule yet because we're splitting the two main projects up. So on Southeast, we're going to be ordering the steel and site work in January. so to make sure we get it in August when we need it. And on Northwest now, what we're seeing is that the suppliers are not willing to guarantee their prices.
Right.
So they're not willing to hold their prices for any length of time. So what we're thinking now on Northwest, where we don't need GMP4 for another almost 2 years, we had planned on bidding that in the early spring of '22 just to lock in our prices, which would normally you'd do, but the subs are telling us we're not going to lock in our price for a year, so they're going to just pad their prices. So what we've decided now is on Northwest, we're going to split that up. We'll just order what we need. We'll do a GMP for the site work on Northwest in the spring, and then the main part of buildings 3 and 4 we'll do probably early in 2023. So far, the short answer is we've been able to mitigate it by splitting up the packages, and we're just hoping that holds. The beauty of the CM at risk method is we're getting this information as we design it. If this was a hard bid project, we wouldn't know till we put it out on the street, and we'd just be getting a lot of bad news, and that would cause delays. So hopefully so far so good, we're able to manage things, and we'll keep you updated on that.
Good to hear. Thank you.
Good question. So project updates, just a little reorientation on Northwest. So,
Excuse me, I
I'm
think
sorry,
Dr.
question?
Morrison has a question.
Yes, sorry.
Are we able to be our own supplier? Are we able to order our own steel? According, you have all the specs and all of that in the plans, can we order our own steel and then hire the construction part, the performance part?
There's a lot of problems that is done sometimes, and the college has done that with certain things like, for example, these chillers on Southeast where we bought the chillers separately, hired another company to install them. There's a risk involved. It's called owner-furnished, contractor-installed method. There are risks in doing that because if you have a problem, there's finger pointing. So you're taking on a lot of responsibility if you do that. Sometimes, the risk is worth the reward, but for something like steel, there's too much connections between
Customization.
Right. We would be sort of functioning as general contractor on something like that. That one's too complex for us to order. So to order separately. So what we're doing is we're solving the lead time problem by just breaking out that package, doing a separate package that's actually out to bids now, and working it through the construction manager.
Thank you.
Okay.
I'm sorry, I do have a quick question
Sure.
before you move on. When you talked about value engineering and you talked about the $12 million, could you just clarify that a little bit more for us, what that actually means?
So I guess I would break it down into two types of things.
Okay.
One is things that are not of a nature that anyone would ever notice. So once a design is sufficiently detailed, we will look at things like on Northwest. We said, do we really need that Class A finish on that exposed concrete because it's pretty high up. We can save $400,000 if we go to what's called a Class B finish, I think. So it's not quite as polished and smooth and everything, but it's still going to look good. That saved us, I think, $400,000. And then so we had the design of that plaza on Northwest that you see and all the walks were designed as removable pavers.
Mm-hmm.
So they look really good. They're good for maintenance if you ever really need to start taking up sidewalks and stuff. But we were able to save $1 million by taking, there's $1 million worth of pavers in there. So we said, let's keep 30% of that on the highest visibility parts, but the sidewalks and things, let's do them out of standard concrete. And so things like that. We had some tree sizes in the design that were 12-inch caliper tree, which takes some pretty heavy machinery to get in. So we reduced those to like a 6 and 8 inch. So things like that the users wouldn't have an impact on the program or anything. There's another set of things that might have a minor impact on the program that we did, and we ran those through the CCQ and the other appropriate committees to do. One of them was on Building 3 there was a walkway extending out as an overlook, and so we trimmed that back so it's even with the building. There are things like that we said without impacting the program and just a minor impact on aesthetics, what can we do to sort of trim costs?
So it's not money that's actually been spent, it's just something in the plan and the design.
Correct.
Yeah, plan and design that we could recover before
Right.
we even spend it. Okay.
Absolutely,
All right,
yes.
thank you.
Okay, thanks. So on Northwest, just to reorient you, so buildings 1 and the 4 pink buildings are the new buildings. So 1 and 2 are the ones that are under construction now. So we're going to finish those. There are 5 buildings where 2, 3, and 4 are now that will move people out first, then demolish them, and then build 3 and 4. So that's basically the next 4 years at Northwest. There's also the 3 buildings in blue. Our plan, the design right now calls for those to be reskinned. We're looking at that and seeing if, and at this point, that's still the plan. We're looking at maybe some alternatives to that. So, but right now, those will be reskinned. Okay, so just to go through the text slides fairly quickly, GMP 1 and 2, that's all the site work and the construction hub at the edge of campus. That work's going to be done within the next month. So phase 2 is buildings 1 and 2 that you saw. We have the GMP contract already underway. Part of the process is called the buyout, where once we sign up Skanska, which was in June, they then go around and have to sign up a multitude of subs for the project. So that's called the buyout, and they're 95% complete with that. So other than that, you'll see photos of concrete columns going up, slabs, and they're moving along very, very quickly. And then 3 and 4, that's going to come in a separate package in the spring. We'll be doing a site work package. And then in early 2023 is what we're looking at bidding that. We're going out to market for that and then building that in starting in the fall of 2023. So I want to talk a little bit about these 3 things that you've been seeing sprinkled throughout the last several board meetings: commissioning, test and balance, and materials testing. So the good news is we're going to be done with those by December, so we won't have any more of those on the major projects. Down the road, you'll still see a few of those, but I want to just, as a quick clarification one more time on what each of those things are. So, because you'll still be seeing some this month and next month. So materials testing is, the main part of that is a third party. We hire a third party to test the concrete when it comes out of the truck, and they do cylinders and then they go back to the lab, and at 7 and 28-day intervals, they break the concrete cylinders to make sure the concrete that we poured is strong enough for the specification. So, and then the other thing is steel welds. They x-ray the steel welds to make sure all those were done right. So those are just 2 critical parts of the project that you want a third party to inspect to make sure everything's done right. Commissioning is along the same lines. It has to do more with making sure all the equipment. So there's a lot of complex HVAC and electrical equipment that goes into these buildings. So this is a third party that we hire to go through the building and ensure everything is working properly. And an HVAC test and balancing, I guess think of that as all the air vents are designed to put out a certain amount of cubic feet per minute of air. So we hire a firm at the end to come through the whole building once everything's done and the air's on to make sure the right amount of air is coming out of each one of those. So they're just third-party tests to do things above and beyond, just as a quality assurance, that just as a check and balance to make sure everything's done right when we turn the building over. So for photos, now these are 7 to 10 days old, so they're already ancient, but this is what we've got. These are, by the way, these are from our 2 webcams that we have on the Bond website. If you go to the Bond website under the Northwest Campus Project, just scroll down a little bit, you'll see actually a live video. So you can see the people working and you can see where we are right now. So this is building 1. So on this one, we're forming up the second floor slab. It's a 3-story building. You can see on the left the column starting to go up to support the 3rd floor. So this second floor slab is now poured and we're moving from one end of the building to the other on the columns. Building 2 is ahead of that, so the white you see there is the second floor, is the concrete already poured on the 2nd floor. Then you'll see moving toward the camera here, you'll see some reinforcing steel, and the dark gray toward the front is the formwork for the concrete. So this was, I think, about a week or 10 days ago. So as of now, that whole second floor has been completely poured. They are moving across with columns to support the third floor, and they're actually now starting to form up the third floor. So this is the part of the project where you're really seeing a lot of visible progress, from a day-to-day and week-to-week. And so this is the time when they also have the opportunity to make up a little time on schedule if they need to. Right now, they're just a little bit ahead of schedule on this, so we're doing well. Schedule, so the red bar is where we are now, late 2021. The top 3 bars are the site work and the construction hub, which we're just about to wrap up. And then the blue bars are construction, so we've started buildings 1 and 2. And then once we get done with that, we'll be doing buildings 3, the demolition in buildings 3 and 4. So by the end of 2025, we're still on schedule to be wrapped up. Before I leave Northwest, there's 2 events that we have coming up. So tomorrow is the groundbreaking, so it's kind of a celebration of where we are now. So I hope you get a chance to come out to that. And it's a chance to see up close and personal what we've been doing. We've shown you a lot of contracts, over the last several months, but this is a chance to see some real progress. So looking forward to that. And then one of the things that Jacobs does is we like to partner with our education clients on STEM programs that the college has going on. So TCCD has a Latina STEM fellowship that we've put together a program over the last few months, and this Saturday it's all going to come to fruition. So we're going to do a demonstration for them. We're going to take them out to the Northwest campus, do a tour of the campus, and do a presentation on what the world of construction is like and the different roles in construction and some MWBE participation things. So it's a good chance to see the people that are in that program, the students in that program, get an idea of up close and personal what the construction looks like. So looking forward to that coming up on Saturday. Southeast, this is just a general orientation to campus. I'm going to skip through this because...
You leave Northwest. Sure. Were we able to save our commemorative wall?
We're not going to. It still stands now, but it's part of what's going to be demolished. So we are going to recreate it, though. We have a design that's going to recreate it on that central plaza.
When you say recreated, explain to me what you mean.
Well, right now the plan is we've had the landscape architect design a 2-sided wall that's a linear wall that has the brass, reuses all the existing brass plaques. We're not sure if those are going to be reusable by the time we do this, so we may have to recreate new ones, but it's going to be a linear wall, 2-sided, same concept as what they have now with the same information on it.
Would I be being petty if I said unacceptable?
No, ma'am.
Don't answer that. Second question, did we retrieve the capsule that was planted at the dedication in 1976, or is it not yet time for that to be retrieved?
I do not know that.
I wasn't in the capsule, but it's
You heard about the capsule.
I heard about it, and I'm not sure we know exactly where it is. I was told that it was by the flagpole as you come into the campus, where you could drop students off and such. That it's there, but that hasn't been. That's a good question because I'm not sure that has come up.
I've seen that capsule mentioned. I'm not familiar with it in the groundbreaking ceremony. And
So I'm not a historian, but Northwest Campus is the centennial community college campus for the United States of America. It is the only community college that was dedicated and opened, I believe, during the bicentennial celebration. 1976, which happens to be the year I was elected to the board. I was at the dedication. I don't think I had been installed, but there are pictures that show I was there. Anyway, that's important, not just to me, but it's important in the history of the campus. And someone needs to be assigned to give some extra effort in doing that. I would appreciate, let me say it like that, Chancellor.
We'll see if we can find some people that were around or that can direct us to, I don't know how we'll go about finding something. We don't know where it's buried, but I'm sure we'll
all of the
dig
smart
through.
people in this room and that are listening, I'm sure there's somebody who knows how to do that.
I think there already is somebody who was, in the groundbreaking ceremony, I saw that addressed somehow. I'm not exactly sure, but we'll find out.
No, she has a response.
Oh, October 29th of last year, Cruz removed it and moved it to our archives for safekeeping. The time capsule from Northwest.
See, I knew somebody knew.
Okay,
That's amazing.
I just received a text that actually said the same thing. So there's confirmation there, maybe.
Can you verify that? See it and get back to Dr. Morris and the rest of
See, I love our staff. We have the best people working for us and working with us here at TCC. And might I say, we pay them pretty well too, don't we, Chancellor?
And people are paying attention, so 2 of them did respond.
Thank you.
It was a good question. So this is Southeast, and like I said, we're going to have a presentation on Southeast after me, so I'm going to skip over my orientation slide on that and just go right to what's happening. So design is continuing, construction, we're in pre-construction phase right now on Southeast, so we're looking at the cost and schedule and doing reviews, logistics plan. We've gone through with the campus, Dr. Coppola and the campus, of what's going to happen to the campus once we start construction. So we're already looking ahead to that. And then just some of these upcoming contract efforts. The bottom line there is HVAC test and balancing. That's actually moved forward to December. So we'll have all those done on the big projects by December. So moving forward on Southeast with design and construction. Here's the red line is where we are now. So yellow is design. The blue, that top blue section is the early steel and site work package. Then the next 2 bars are the building starting in the spring and summer. And then the renovations will be in 2014. MEP infrastructure and 3GAP. So there's 2 parallel ongoing efforts that y'all have approved recently. So one is a facility condition assessment that's well underway. They're starting on South and the Southeast campus, just looking at everything we've got, the state of the campus and state of everything in the campus, to see what condition we have. And then the master implementation plan, that effort was approved previously, and that's underway now. So those are 2 parallel efforts that are going to inform the MEP and the 3GAP final list of projects. So meanwhile, we're proceeding along with MEP infrastructure projects that are not impacted by that, and there's some ongoing ones that are not going to be impacted by those programs. But the final list on MEP infrastructure is going to be fed by the master plan and the facility condition assessment. We want to make sure we're looking at everything holistically, and those 2 efforts are going to inform what we do. And so let's see, these are just 2 of the projects we've got going on right now to upgrade the emergency power systems at South Campus and Northeast. Those are 2 MEP projects that are ongoing, not related to the overall master plan. So 3 goals and 8 principles. Again, it's going to be fed by those 2 efforts, but I do want to emphasize everything we do is 3GAP permeates everything that we do. So we have this separate bucket to address the Northeast, South, and Trinity Rivers that are not getting comprehensively updated by the 2 main projects. But the 3GAP is not unique to this bucket. It also permeates what we're doing on Northwest and Southeast also. And these are a couple of the projects that we have right now, the ILI classroom projects that'll be coming up in the summer. MWBE and Hub. So we measure that 3 different ways. This is the smallest snapshot, which is to match up how the college measures participation on a quarterly basis and the amount spent on a quarterly basis. So you've seen this before, and sometimes we're under, sometimes we're over our goal. For this quarter, we had quite a bit of MWBE expenses, so we're over our targets for just this small snapshot. And then what we're really looking at mainly in the bond program is inception to date since the bond started in 2019. So the top is how much we've actually spent to date, and you can see on construction we're ahead of the goal. Professional services we're behind, but as I'd said last time, that's going to trail for a while, we anticipate, because a lot of the MWBE portions of professional services happen later in the project. The commitments on the bottom is the total amount that's under contract. So spend is what we've actually spent. That's a subset of commitments, which is everything under contract right now. And so we are overall commitments, bonds inception to date, we're tracking pretty well with our goals. The other thing I wanted to mention, I meant to mention this before on our vulnerability to the market. So we, on one of those first slides, we had 28% sort of under contract, which sort of means it's locked in, but the other 72% is still to come, still not locked in, and still vulnerable to what the market does. Most of that's going to be under contract in the next 12 to 14 months, but that's why we're watching the market closely, and that's the impact that the market's going to have on the remainder of the program. Project look ahead, I'll just go through this pretty quick. Northwest Campus upcoming in November, December. The superstructure, that's the concrete structure, is ongoing. We'll start to see some wall framing coming up by the end of the year. And then we're finishing up our GMP construction documents and with some finalizing some cost reduction measures on that. January and February, everything's going to continue. So when we come back for this presentation in February, we'll have walls on the building and things like that. We'll be, I believe they said we're going to have the roof underway at that point. So this is the part of the project where things happen really fast. And March and April is when we're looking at to go for GMP for that early package. Southeast, November and December, we're finishing up construction, and of course we're going out to the market with that early structural and steel and site work package. And January, February, that work continues. MEP infrastructure, the main things are the master implementation plan continues, and that FCA facility condition assessment continues. And then there's this chiller replacement project that you just saw on the agenda today that's going to get going and continue on. So all those efforts will continue on through then, and same thing on the 3 goal and 8 principles. We have those ILI classroom projects plus the master implementation plan and the FCA. Upcoming board actions, just in November, you see what we've got in front of you today, just the Southeast Campus, the Perkins and Will contingency for their contract, MEP infrastructure, we have that chiller replacement at Southeast, and then these 2 presentations today. And then in December, we've got for Southeast material testing, and then for Northwest and now for Southeast, we've got test and balancing services. And that is it. So lots going on, lots coming up, and it's an exciting time. Questions?
Questions, comments? Yes, go ahead, Mr.
Thank
Khan.
you very much for a thorough update. One thing that I've been thinking a lot about since our visit to the Southeast Campus was about the intersection of the challenges of parking and the community college experience. And I know that construction and pre-construction things like lay down lots can really impact what can already be a frustrating experience. I wondered if, as a part of your presentations moving forward, maybe this is for you as well, there could be just some sort of indicator, red, amber, green, of where we are on the parking situations, and any communication strategies to mitigate that. Because I can see it being a very intentional conversation around how we use buildings, but parking certainly seems to be something that transcends all reason sometimes.
Right, and we have, part of that is, that's sort of two parts. One is the parking count, and we'll report on that. And I believe we're keeping the same parking count, but I better check on that. And then the main thing is circulation. So we really we've come up with a way that separates the circulation. You have construction trucks and lay down areas, and they need access on Southeast to two separate areas. So you're working on two separate parts of the building. So we've had a few iterations, several options, and we've worked with Dr. Coppola and the campus to come up with a way that separates the student traffic from the construction traffic. So we think we've done that pretty well. They came up with a flyer that they showed me today that's going to be posted around the campus that shows all that at a glance and just says, there's exciting things coming up. Here's what it's going to look like. And so I think we've got that. I think we've got it worked out pretty well. The parking count, maybe Dr. Coppola, you can tell me, we're good on parking? Okay, so we're mainly concerned with not making parking any worse, but also making sure we have the circulation right. So I think we're in good shape there. Okay.
Thank you for that question. Any other questions, comments? Chancellor, do you have something to say?
No.
Okay.
Very good.
Thank you.
Right. Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Appreciate it. Very good
Andre,
document.
briefing on the fiscal year 21 MWE.
Good afternoon, Chancellor Giovannini, President Ayala, Trustees. My name's Andre McEwen. I'm Supply Diversity Manager for Tarrant County College in the capacity for going on 10 years now. And thank you for the opportunity. Just want to brief you on our fourth quarter and 2021 year to date on MWBE spend. See if I get this right. Did I go the wrong way? Here we go. Just an update. A year ago, we were here. The board adopted a new MWBE hub plan in August of 2022. And with that change, we had been a one-goal college cumulatively and not specific to categories. With the current plan, based on the state of Texas's hub plan, historically underutilized businesses, we're broken down now by 5 categories that you'll see in a moment. And the staff, myself, Team Mike Herndon, and our whole team committed to quarterly reports based on the new format. So we're under a new program based on the state of Texas, historically underutilized businesses for minority women-owned businesses, which is based on a disparity study, basically saying based on the availability of those minority certified firms in the state of Texas, such that our plan is driven by that. Specifically, our goals will be to focus on professional services, other service contracts, as well as commodities, IT services, hardware, maximize use of MWBE firms in our job order contracting, which relates to general contractors and trade contractors. I want to encourage prime contractors, joint ventures. You'll see in a moment we had a big win on that commitment that we made. And leverage the access to the North Central Texas Regional Certification Agency. So that agency is the largest state of Texas certifying agency for North Texas, and I represent Tarrant County College on that certifying board. That is made up of 22 certified public entities throughout North Texas. And also wanted to target at least 100 to 200 new MWBE vendors through my outreach through our departments, really, who meet small minority-owned vendors on their day-to-day and to support our student success. And just want to announce, I think Susan may have announced, we got flying colors for an internal audit of our system, of our MWBE program. I had an internal audit, not of me, of the program, about 2 months ago. And we were in compliance of our program, what we said we're going to do in working with the minority business women-owned community, our processes, and how we go about tracking and overseeing and our spend for minority women-owned businesses. So we were in compliance. So I want to report that out too. All right. Specifically, the numbers. This is, you heard John talk about just the bond numbers. These are the total numbers. And just a little bit of red. And that is based on the fourth quarter is the top bar, the top section. Commodities, a little soft there. That has to do with software, hardware, as relates to IT. So based on the most recent agenda items, I think 5G, one of the items just was reported, 2 of those firms will be tracked here. That was GTMS and SHI. That'll be voted on next week. Those are minority firms. So I anticipate that we will be able to reach our first quarter of 2021, 2022 as far as that first block of numbers. Fourth quarter, which would have been this past quarter, 2021, other services. Other services is a catch-all, and I wrote those down. So just so you know, we have firms, small minority women-owned firms in photography, promotional items, fast signs, interpreters also, traffic supplies, and campus security. So those are the areas within the other services that are not identified in the 4 other categories that you see. So I just want to give you a specific on what's in that other services category. And we will continue to target those areas to try to reach our goal, as you see in that fourth quarter, 16%. So we'll continue to look at that, as well as the cumulative is the bottom portion. All's good, positive, as you see, except for the other services. So I anticipate, for me, that means going and targeting, looking into the database, minority women-owned database, to target those areas. So I want to stop there. If any questions as relates to our numbers for fourth quarter. Any questions there before I move on?
Any questions? Andre, thank you
Yes.
for this update.
Sure.
How do we use the opportunities where we engage, let's say we partner with some of the chambers?
Sure.
How do we use these opportunities to really promote, these are the areas that we need folks, and this is where we need, in this area, we need it in that
Right.
area. How do we use those opportunities?
Thank you, President Ayala. What I try to do with our minority chambers and business organizations is really, there's a capability and capacity question I ask always to our chambers and business associations. Look at their membership and categorize like we do to make sure we can match up in those areas. Where they don't have those, I go to my database, NCTRCA, which is 5,000, and I can go by code and find those particular areas specific and target via distribution of email, one-on-one. I work with the chambers to encourage them to have that member if they're not a member. So my goal is to target through my databases to help have those one-on-one conversations in those areas that you see. That's on me on a one-on-one day-to-day basis, working with, typically it's me, having been out here for 10 years, I go to the database because I know the availability of the memberships of the chambers. And most of the chambers and business organizations are constructions, architects, and engineers, primarily driven, which we're capturing. But when it comes to other services, oftentimes they may not have those members that in their membership, but I ask the question. Then I move to my other databases, the historically utilized State of Texas database and the NCTRCA database. So that's where I go first, and working with the chambers to encourage them. But oftentimes, if given the timeliness of need, I go straight to my major database. Okay. Any other questions on the numbers? Okay. So you saw the bond numbers that John made reference and just want to highlight. He referenced the construction and the professional services. I'm looking at the bottom section, which is the fourth quarter. This is broken also by, fourth quarter at the top, year-to-date at the bottom. We reached our numbers based on what John told you in the fourth quarter. We had strong representation in the bond program. Cumulatively, we're a little soft still in commodities, which I think will come as we get our buildings at Northwest up to functional and operational. Then we have our IT components, the wiring, the computers, and then we'll be able to reach those commodity numbers as at the end of our Northwest Campus project. So it's a timing of the scopes of work that'll be coming at the end when we actually build out the building, that we'll get that commodity number where we need it to be. As well as professional services, we have two good partners. One's here in the audience today, Perkins and Wills, as well as Huckabee. I think, and I know they each have strong MWBE numbers. I think Perkins and Wills' numbers is 28%. So I feel strongly we'll be able to reach our goals and cumulatively as we get into the Southeast Campus. Northwest Campus, we've done well with Huckabee. They're trending at about 27%. So cumulatively, I feel that cumulative number at the bottom will be there at the end of both projects. Any questions on the bond numbers? Okay. Just some highlights, and this is really for me a highlight also. And you see where Northeast Campus and these, I pulled particular projects that you voted on, and thank you for your support of these projects. You see Northeast Campus, we had the building shower renovation, we had 100% participation. Legal services, which for my 10 years, and thank you to Carol, we've had good increase, a new joint venturing, if you will, in the legal services there. And so that's a win-win there. South Campus, storm drain assessment, Carrillo Engineering, 100% firm. At the bottom, Sun Construction, the renovation here where we are today, 46% of that was utilization of small women-owned, minority-owned businesses. And then the financial advisory services, which is a new add to our MWBE spend. And again, and I always run into Mr. Galvan and Lawrence, and when I'm out doing outreach, he says, thank you. So thank you to this board for that support. And the biggest, I will say, is I call it a tri-venture between three firms, two of those locals, homegrown, Burns, Thomas S. Burns, many of you know, Potere, Sharon Douglas, and AECOM Hunt. That's a 45% JV, meaning on the pre-construction side, and addition 30% on the construction side. And that is a big win. And you'll see some pictures here in a moment where we're doing outreach with them collectively. I mean, literally side by side when we go outreach to the subcontractor community. So this is a huge highlight here. Communication, this is what I do. Why everybody kind of knows who I am. One-on-one outreaches. You were, I think, had 2 emails about 2 outreaches you should have received. And we just had one of those last Friday. We had about 200 plus at the Will Rogers Auditorium. Great success there. We also had an event yesterday here we hosted with the 4th Hispanic Chamber, and we had an event last night Southeast Campus hosted by Dr. Coppola. Thank you so much for the Southeast Campus event. In addition, we do some co-hosted how to do business seminars, and we continue to participate in all virtual RFP pre-bids explaining MWBE and Hub programming. These are just some pictures, show and tell. Again, Bill Fort Worth, 4th Hispanic Chamber. We had the mayor there and other dignitaries, commissioners, and you can see myself and Mike Herndon manning the table. We have also a new senior construction buyer, Lisa Ball. She'll be joining us. We're also partnering with Jacobs. They're helping us with outreach also. Celia Acosta with Akari. She has a point person as a sub-consultant with Jacobs. So Natalia will be joining us also at our booth. So again, this is what we do to do outreach where it's, COVID friendly. There's opening up now of locations and many of the business organizations, minority, women-owned, are beginning to have some face-to-face events. This is Skanska. So at these events, what we've intentionally done is put Burns, Potere, and AECOM Hunt together. So when subcontractors come by, they don't have to go, if you know these events, there's 50, 60 different exhibits, and you're walking all around the auditorium. We put them together. So you can talk to all three about Southeast. You can talk to Skanska about Northwest. Given the GMP4 that's coming on first quarter next year, with a lot of subcontracting opportunities, we're intentionally in our outreach efforts making sure that our subcontractors can talk, meet, and greet with us and those contractors collectively. Finally, what initiatives for next year? Really, we're anticipating 6 project MWBE outreach events, one of which we did last night. Maximize IDIQ pools, which will be coming forth to you probably first quarter of next year. We have about 100+ submissions on the IDIQ, indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, and be evaluating those over the next 2 months. 3 to 6 months facilities. This is one I want to highlight, making sure we have lead times to get to know what projects we have coming. It's critical that, because our small business community, minority women-owned business community, they need lead times. So we're trying to develop and working collectively with facilities on a 3 to 6 months facilities lead time schedule so we can get those out in front of these projects. Partner with Tarrant County public entities, as we always do, as well as do more department outreach specific to our departments where the needs are, determining opportunities for small minority-owned businesses. And that's finalized my presentation. Questions?
Thank you for that, Andre. Any questions or clarifications?
Thank you, Andre.
Thank you, Andre.
I skipped. Let's circle back to 6D for the Southeast campus design. We had all that discussion about parking at Southeast. I thought we already did it. I guess we were just going to design parking. We'd save a lot of money, wouldn't we? Dan, thank you.
Thank you. It's more to it than parking, as we'll get to here. Thank you, board, and Dr. Giovannini, President Ayala. My name is Dan Eikenberry. I'm project manager for Perkins and Will. Here to talk to you, obviously, about the Southeast Campus renovation and expansion project. With me is Gardner.
Yeah, I'm Gardner Vass. I'm a design interior principal.
And also another important member of our team is here with us today, Vandana Nayak. She's the managing principal for our studio and on the project. So thanks again. We're extremely excited about TCC's vision for the Southeast Campus, and we're excited to be partners to make that vision a reality. So our agenda for today, we have met with you before. I believe it was the May board meeting was the last time we presented the project to you all, and so we'll do a little bit of a recap and refresh of the project scope. We won't spend too much time on that. And then we'll get to some of the new and exciting developments that we've made in the last 6 months. So we'll start off talking about project schedule, project scope, and then get into the fun stuff, the exterior design, the interior design that Gardner will present, and then end it with questions. So looking at the design schedule, this is essentially what John showed you all. Just kind of shown a little graphically different. But the key takeaways here are that the new construction and renovation scopes of work for the project kind of tracked right along all the way up until the 1st of October when we completed design development, which is what we're presenting to you today is the design development of the project. And we are now focusing only on new construction, which is the 2 new buildings, which I'll show here in a minute. And we're kind of putting the renovation on pause, and the reason we're phasing it like that is because that's how we're phasing it in the field during construction. So it made sense to focus on new construction, get that knocked out. That way we can phase things correctly in the field as well. And so today's presentation is going to be mainly focused on the new construction, as that's what we're progressing a little bit further with, and we're excited to come back and share the renovation progress with you all at a later date. So project scope, as you all have seen this before, 2 new buildings, one on the north side of campus, at the front of campus as you drive in, that will serve as essentially the new front door and gateway into campus. It is a student experience building. It houses all of your front-end onboarding, welcome center type functions. And then on the south side, kind of anchoring that other side of campus, is the academic building, which is more focused on current students and faculty, of course. And then between these two new buildings and the existing building are some of our landscape improvements to large courtyards, which are going to be an integral part of the design. Also, in our scope of work is reworking the front arrival loop, which is being impacted by the new building, of course, but we're also reworking it to address some of the needs functionality wise that arrival loop had, make it more of an arrival point when you get to campus. We're also removing the portables on the east side of campus, and there's a gravel lot on that east side that we are paving and expanding. So again, addressing some of the parking concerns, we are adding parking on that east side, which is a desirable area to park. So conceptually, one of the first things we heard when we first started this project a while back was that connectivity was an issue in campus. So we really wanted the main framework of our concept to center around connectivity and really bringing the whole campus together. Right? There's an issue with overcrowding in some of the hallways. It's not just because the campus is too small for the current enrollment, which it is, but it is also because there were areas that were overcrowded and areas that weren't used as much. Just the function of the layout and the way the campus has expanded. And so we think that by connecting the campus, really energizing and bringing life to those buildings that currently don't have it, and dispersing students throughout, that will help as well as obviously the expansion of square footage. So we are redefining the central axis of the campus, as you can see with that big red arrow there, creating a new front door with our building that reaches out to the parking, addresses some of the parking concerns that the project, that the campus has. So making that front door more accessible, more evident, as you'll see in some of our images. Drawing people through that main corridor into what we think of as the heart and the hub of the campus, which is going to be our new Learning Commons, which is going to be obviously brought up to date to meet all of the 3 goals and 8 principles. And then through to the south side, where we're anchoring the entire campus with that academic building that is partially lifted off the ground, so that there is that clear line of sight all the way through. And then, I mentioned we're not going to talk too much about renovation today, but renovating the existing building is obviously a huge part of this project. We are renovating the majority of the building, that Learning Commons in the middle, but also on the east side, where we have the dense floor plate of classrooms in the east wing. We are doing some heavy renovation there to open it up, create more spacious corridors, areas for informal study and gathering. We're creating some vertical connectivity by punching holes in slabs, popping up the roof, bringing sunlight in. So we're really, really hoping to re-energize that portion of the building as well. And this is kind of just a bird's eye view of the overall plan as it stands today, with some of those techniques implemented. So looking at the black and white of it, the current existing campus is around 402,000 gross square feet, not including portables. Our new student experience building on the north will be almost 37,000 gross square feet. The new academic building on the south will be 64,500 gross square feet. And we are renovating about 281,000 square feet of that existing 402. So as I mentioned, the majority of it, the total new campus size will be 503,944 gross square feet. So obviously we're growing the campus, but we're also making what is there more efficient and usable. All right, so now for the more fun stuff. This is a bird's eye view of our design progress so far. You can see the top of the page, the North Student Experience Building, and to the south, our academic building, and then the existing building in the middle. But you can kind of see how we are really introducing a concept of outside being a place for students and faculty to gather, creating lots of areas and opportunities for shaded outdoor area. And you can also see, but with these dashed lines, the yellow and the red, how we're phasing the project. So phase one is the 2 new buildings. Phase 2 is the renovation. And it's important to note that renovation will not all be done in one phase. It in itself will have several sub-phases. We do realize we're on an active campus and we have to keep campus activities going during construction. So we're working closely with BPH and the bond team on phasing. So as you approach the North Student Experience Building, this is the first thing you see when you drive into campus and park and walk up. We have focused all of our glazing on this kind of glass box on the east side of the building. It really creates an intuitive sense of wayfinding to lead you to the front door, and also allows you to see inside. We think that indoor-outdoor connection is important. We want, as you approach this campus for the first time, to be excited to see all the activity going on the interior, in the Welcome Center, with the success coaches and all the students, see the vibrancy of color, and be able to see through as well to the courtyard beyond. This is the same student experience building from the other side. You're looking from the courtyard back at the building. So you see we've carried that glass box concept through to the other side as well. This is, if you were standing in that same spot and you rotated about 90 degrees, looking back at the existing building. We are actually renovating the facade that faces our new building on the north side of campus. This is so that it can relate design-wise to the new construction, but you'll also note that we are making every effort to fit in contextually with the existing campus. The use of brick and metal panel will relate it back to the existing campus, but we are also elevating the design, creating this strong access through, as you can see with the main entrance there, that draws people through into the Learning Commons beyond. Moving to the south side of campus, this is the South Academic Building. As I mentioned before, and as you can see here, it is lifted up off of the ground, and this creates a visual connection from the parking on the south side in towards the courtyard, and also inherently creates a lot of shaded outdoor space. So using the building itself for shade and comfort, and just providing that outdoor space that's sorely needed for students and faculty to hang out. We also are providing a learning stair, as you can kind of see there in the background, that leads you up to a second level terrace that is shaded with a canopy. And this terrace is not just for vertical circulation. The learning stair, we envision it being used formally and informally by the campus. And this is the other side of that academic building looking back from the parking. So you can see you have that visual connection to the courtyard beyond. And again, we're matching the sense of scale to the ESCT building that you can kind of see in the distance there. And so that's why the building was lifted up initially, but we wanted to really take advantage of the space underneath, and also the materiality and the rhythm that the ESCT building has started to form. We're carrying that through as well. So that's it for the exterior design. Are there any questions on that before I hand it over to Gardner?
Any questions?
I have a couple questions.
Okay, a couple of questions from Dr. Morrison.
I just was curious, in both facilities, the welcoming building and the other, where are the welcoming facilities? Like the restrooms, the commuter campus, first thing a person needs to do when they come, and the last thing before they leave is go to the restroom.
Yes, ma'am.
The other thing was dining facilities.
Yes.
I'm just wondering, because it didn't hit me today, where those might be and what they might be. So I just wanted you to share where you are on that.
Absolutely. And I don't want to steal too much of Gardner's thunder. He's going to get to the floor plans where you'll see those things specifically. We do have restrooms in the Student Experience Building on the first floor, directly adjacent to the main Welcome Center. Large public restrooms there, and there everything will obviously be accessible. And then in the south building, the portion of the building on level 1 that touches the ground is our culinary arts program, and it has a dining facility in it. So it actually is a point of sale for serving food. and also the mixology program will be relocated there as well, and it will have a point of sale, so not just for people who want to learn mixology, but people who want to partake as well. And so we provided areas for that in that South Academic Building.
Okay. Have these renderings been available for student review and input?
These renderings, we have reviewed them with the cabinet, with all of the 3 goal and 8 principal committees. I am not sure if they've been made available to students or how many students they've been made available to be honest with you.
Okay. So there was another point that I wanted to make, Chancellor. I love hearing everybody say 3 goals and 8 principles. However, because I was making a presentation to a group, I don't like to stutter start. And so I think it's important that we, as we say 3 goals, that we enumerate them. For instance, and I turn them into serving the community as one campus focused on student success. I know that's not exactly the copyrighted wording, but for me, it connects back to the beginning mission in 1965. So I just want to encourage everyone, when you're thinking about our 3 goals and the 8 principles, I think it just helps us to enumerate those goals. It just helps us to be more intentional about our thinking and our planning and implementation. That's just a suggestion. Thank you.
Thank you.
Did you have a comment? Did you have a comment? Okay. I just have a very quick question. This is very helpful, but going forward, if you can just maybe give us on the scope plans, if you could just put like maybe a street so that we can be a little bit familiar. For some of us is not as familiar with Arlington, it would be helpful if we know at least a street on here. That kind of helps us to kind of situate it, if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
Okay.
No, that makes perfect sense.
Thank you.
Apologize for that.
No, that's fine. It's just I know which way is north, but I don't always know what street.
Southeast
resides
Parkway
north. Yes.
is north.
Right. So that would be helpful for me. So thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
So I have another question.
Yes.
Were we able to preserve that historic planting area on Southeast Campus?
So the Blue Star Memorial, we will be relocating, and we will be preserving all of the bricks in it. They are loose lay; they're not grouted or mortared in. So we've studied it and we've looked at it, and we're going to relocate that to the east side of campus by the butterfly garden over there. We think that is a highly visible, appropriate place to relocate it. The tree that is just south of that, we are preserving in place. We understand that it's not only difficult to move a tree of that size, but the trees sometimes die in being transplanted. So we've made every effort to work the landscape around that tree and preserve it. So in that south courtyard, the tree will be a prominent part of that courtyard design. Yes, ma'am.
Did I miss anything, Dr.
You're good.
All right, so we're going to start with the student experience building. And we put together, it's consistent of 2 floors, and one of the primary planning goals was to create as much openness throughout the building, both on the first and second floor. And what really holds it and binds it together are 2 anchoring stairs. So when you enter, you have the 2 vestibules. This is on the east portion of the building, is what we're referring to as the large welcome center. And you have the welcome desk there positioned kind of in the middle. But what's important is mainly on the right side, where it's a large learning, almost like a bleacher stair. And then to the far east is a switchback stair that then kind of links everything together. And in the middle is essentially a lot of mixed-use space, a lot of space for students and faculty to get together and go throughout the day, as well as when the peaks of the year, when the registration is key, that there's a lot of awareness and wayfinding ability to know where to navigate and where to go. And then secondly, by keeping that middle space open, most of the program space either falls on the south or the north. So this is us coming through the front door from the image that Dan had shown coming as the turnaround. And if we were to walk in the building, go through the vestibule, we are standing in front of a gracious two-story space. It's fully lit with artificial light, but more importantly, we have an abundant amount of glazing that allows the natural daylight to filter in throughout the day. And to the right, you see the welcome desk with proper signage. And then to the left, the learning stair, which can be occupied throughout the day with a lot of cushions. And also up at the top, some additional seating. But really important is the students have the ability to see one another no matter where they are or standing in the space. So we think that's really wonderful. And if we come to kind of the foot of the learning stair, then looking east, this is the view that you would see. So we think that it would be important to have some kind of video solution kind of mid-span between the first and second floor. That way everyone can view it as they populate the learning stair. And also you can see beyond the welcome desk, you can begin to see the additional stair at the far east and how it all connects to one another. A lot of wall space for graphics and information, and so we're in the process of working with the branding team to develop those kinds of stories. And then if we were at that vestibule position and look to our left, the success coach area is there, and you can see the nice learning stair and how you ascend up in that two-story space, creating a skylight effect, as well as just maintaining the openness. If we start walking towards the east and we're behind that welcome, you can still see that it's very open as you get more in the compressed part of the space. But the idea was to kind of allow as much daylight and as much glazing as possible. And then one nice unique element on the opposite side of the learning stair is student orientation and the flexibility that this space will have. The glazing that you see that's articulated on the left there that faces the new courtyard, that'll be almost like an operable wall. So you'll be able to open that up. And so events that expand beyond, say, 40 or 50 people, you could potentially get a larger group and take it outside. Also, we're looking at more flexible type furnishings here so that it could be set up with just chairs. You could have a training facility, but mainly throughout the day, we're looking at more of kind of a study mixed-use space. And then when we think about how do we connect back to the existing campus, we really think these connectors and these bridge pieces are very important. So the idea here is to just make it as glassy and open so that the daylight comes through and so that each moment is very welcoming. And then this is the stair to the east, and just showing you that we're taking every little square inch of space and making it usable for both the students and the faculty. And just the view standing up on the learning stair looking eastward, just even when you're on the second floor, just the amount of daylight and the ability to bring in that warmth and color all the way through. And then we're starting to kind of work our way eastward. Moments for branding, talking about pathways, areas for students to sit down and study and research. And then when we get to like financial aid and business services, pretty clearly defined transition points, flanked by comfortable seating and great bits of color and branding as well. We'll switch over to the academic building. And this is the building to the south. So this building is made up of 3 levels. And as Dan was mentioning, most of the activity on the first level is residing kind of on the right side of the building. And that pink area is the dining component that he was mentioning about. And the main entry is sort of right in the center of the heart of the building with a large lobby that leads you up to the second level. The functions that you see on the right mainly consist of the culinary program. And then all of that white space that you see with kind of the dots and so forth, that's the building that's raised above your head. So you're able to walk along that area, and the landscaping and so forth is designed under that. So very welcoming and inviting. When you get to the second floor, you've reached the point where you're on the terrace, so you've taken that kind of amphitheater seating up to the top. You have a gracious lobby filled with daylight, all glass, and then you have this long, simple kind of diagram where the building has one simple corridor so people are easily able to navigate and find their classrooms. And then on the third level, similarly, labs, but more importantly, maintaining that corridor, that clarity, and those are the spaces that we think the students will use for breakout spaces and collaboration. So this is coming from the main vestibule on level 1, and we've kind of passed the dining kind of over to the left. To the right of this image would be where culinary begins. Every spot is an opportunity to kind of hang out and kind of take a respite, use for study. The stair is a nice ascending pathway up to the top. The daylight that's up on the second level will start filtering through that gap. And then this is further down on level 2, kind of on the east side of the building looking west. And you can see that we have these breaks within the exterior facade where there's solid moments, as Dan showed you with those metal and brick panels. We think those are great opportunities to have small little breakout sessions and study nooks. So really activate the main corridor. And then when you enter into the classrooms to the right, some of the floors allow more of a kind of a niche that allows these breakout areas for students to have some pre-course activities and some study areas. And this is a straight-on view into the classroom. So the classrooms are kind of set up where they're all organized around a clear kind of entry method where the warmth of the wood kind of identifies the entry points. And then either side is a nice area to where we can explore more branding and color. And then the clear story to point out is another layer to all of this where the natural daylight can then take another jump into the classrooms as well. And then this is a view on the third floor looking at the faculty area and looking at just how that wonderful glass that's facing over the terrace and the circulating stairs that take you down. Every opportunity is a space to hang out and gather, and the mix of warmth and color is throughout. So thank you.
Questions or comments? I have one just quick question.
Sure.
You gave us the square footage, so how many students do we anticipate, additional students, we'd be able to accommodate?
Wow.
That's a good question. We have designed this expansion to accommodate the expected enrollment data through 2030, and we used our facilities planning partners to do so. And so with the growth that we've seen, I forget how much it was by 2030, it was at least a couple thousand more students by that date based on the trajectory that we're seeing from the historical data that's available. So that's what we've designed towards right now. So it will accommodate today's student needs as well as the growth.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes.
Any other questions or comments? Thank you all for your presentation. Yes.
Okay. Just a couple of information items left. I just want to share some highlights, and the one is related to the Smart Building Master Plan, and that's really to convey what that is again to you folks to ensure that you have everything you need. Whatever changes are needed prior to the proposed adoption in the December board meeting. So about a year ago in January, we authorized, the board authorized us to move forward in seeking a smart building concept, if you will, and you've had a couple briefings or probably 3 or 4 briefings. And lastly, in September was the overview of the draft report that we will be asking you to adopt in December. The last item I have for information deals an update with the HERF funding, and just the big picture. We had about over $75 million worth of funding for students. We've spent about $44 million of that, leaving about $31 million. The institutional funding spend our amount was over $92 million, and we've spent about half of that, and still have a ways to go, but yet we still have certainly plenty of time for that. Likely we'll get an extension we believe we'll get an extension for that, as will the rest of the world, after September 2022. So the things that have happened, you've seen them: safety improvements, technology infrastructure, remote learning, instructional supplies, safety supplies of such. We're also able to capture lost revenue and also discharged a large amount of student debt, some $4 million of student debt. So you do have a couple items this month that was mentioned related to mobility and infrastructure, virtual desktop infrastructure, to act upon. So that's the informational update on that. You have that in your packet, should you like to read the detail. And that concludes my report.
Okay. Anything else, Ms. Carroll? We don't have any closed session today? We do? Okay. All right. 2 items. Okay. Before we have our breakout into our executive session, I just want to acknowledge Trustee Daphne Brookins, who passed away. She's Fort Worth ISD trustee. She was a trustee that served with a passion for students, for youth, and we appreciate all of her advocacy, and our thoughts and prayers go out to her and our colleagues over at the Fort Worth ISD as well. So, all right. Okay, we're going to go ahead and break for executive session. Let me see so I can read this. Yes, and we're going to take a few-minute bio break, please. So the board will, do I need to read, Reg, I need to read this, don't I? Okay. The board will conduct a closed meeting as authorized by Section 551 of the Texas Government Code in order to seek the advice of its attorneys, deliberate real property matters, deliberate personnel matters, or deliberate security devices or security audits. Thank you. Okay, the board will now reconvene in open session. The chair will entertain a motion to adjourn. So moved, Dr. Morrison, and second by Leonard Hornsby. Thank you so much. Everyone have a good afternoon, and we'll see you next week. Thank you.